3, 2, 1.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Oh, show!
Oh,
My God, the kicking table and the computer just shook. It is, no one was mad that you cut the whole thing. You go anywhere.
What do I do with that?
Yeah, and the Macho Madness and the Hulkamania.
On top of that, you're the best wrestler of all time. So I absolutely adore you.
For being the cream of the crop, yeah.
Let's go!
Fucking idiot, you have no idea what you're fucking talking about.
God.
They were saying Sony apparently said that the PlayStation 5. You fucking suckers! Is that the end of it?
Or every pixel of a game engine into the face. Can't say
That
Dallas. Stupid.
What did you know? And that's like part of my Christmas.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Break Room Podcast. And we got the full regalia and Batman! Get the fuck out of here!
Come on.
With the Vipers.
With
the Vipers. Help.
Put them in the bathroom.
We're the Break Room Live now. We're changing brands.
Hey, we're
we used to
live,
be a
pal.
podcast. Now we're just a show.
Yeah, we're better than a
We're more
podcast.
than-
It's live.
live
more than just
entertainment.
soup. Podcasts
More than
are
just soup.
fucking recorded and edited and shrunken down and censored.
It's like when Boston
This is
Chicken
live,
became
pal.
Boston Market. Remember that?
I wish the crowd could see our outros because those are really good.
the
Like,
intros and outros are
we're
good.
just saying seal
everything
for like
bef-
2 minutes.
Baby!
I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave.
fucking
Ooh, the more I get of you, strangers and feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave.
Movie's
That's what we were singing before.
terrible fucking movie.
Yeah, great song though. You know,
You didn't like
Hand it to
that?
Seal.
The movie?
What movie are you talking
In
about?
Batman
retrospect.
Forever.
What
Batman
movie?
Forever.
Did he just say what movie?
Batman Forever?
I love that movie.
That's where that
I don't
song
remember
comes
that being
from.
in
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Jim
Comes
Carrey.
from fucking Seal. What are you
Tommy
talking
Lee
about?
Jones.
Yeah, Seal did the song for the
That
fucking
is a top.
made
That is
that
a
song
top
for
5
Batman?
soundtrack.
He didn't
The
make that
soundtrack,
song
but
for
the
Batman.
movie-
Yes,
just
he
the
did.
The movie's
They might have
clownery.
used that
the
in
fucking
Batman.
music video for that song is
Yes.
Batman.
Okay, but the song wasn't written for Batman.
Yes, the
Yes, it was.
soundtrack.
Really?
Batman Forever
100
soundtrack.
It's just like
100%.
Prince did the fucking music,
music
for
video.
For Batman.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
for
that
Batman
was a
89.
great one.
Yeah.
That was great. That was a great soundtrack too.
You have to look into it.
Lawrence?
I don't believe it.
I'm telling you, it's a fucking fact.
It's the first time I've ever heard that "Kiss from a Rose" from
Kiss
by
from a
Seal
Rose is a fucking Batman.
was
song.
made for
I
Batman.
love that they used that in The
Yes.
Last Dance.
Had
That was
nothing
great.
to do with the movie, but it was a great fucking song.
But to go from Tim Burton to fucking Schumacher, Batman, what a fucking pile of dog shit.
It was a sin.
Yeah.
It really.
And then they
just
gave us back
aesthetically looks
nipples,
like
which is even
stupid.
more
I
insane.
guess I look at it through nostalgic glasses. I still enjoy the movie even till this day. Batman and Robin, on the other hand, was the
Oof.
drizzling shits.
Oof, George Clooney.
Terrible.
What was the one that
Nicole
had
Kidman and
Two-Face?
Batman Forever was my
Batman
sexual
Forever.
Was
awakening.
Batman Forever.
That was my sexual
all right.
awakening.
Rob still has the freezer mugs from Burger King from
I do.
Batman Forever.
I want you guys to think
love
about
those.
this as we go through the show because Rob brought something up that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So you just said Nicole Kidman was
Yeah.
was your coming out.
Well, that was
What?
a real, for a
Hot
real
take?
person.
Are you
I
doing
mean,
a hot-
I mean,
Not even a
Jessica
hot take?
Rabbit.
Is this a hot cake?
Jessica Rabbit was like maybe the first one that made me confused, but you know.
What? Yeah.
I already have that.
What
I already-
movie
Not movie, but show.
and actress
Actress have
do
to go.
you
Have to do
the
movie.
best? Like where did they look the best?
Cameron
For
Diaz,
instance-
the mask.
Yes!
Fuck you! That was mine! That was mine. I have nothing else. He took my fucking gun away.
Everybody.
I got nothing.
Everybody.
Cameron Diaz in the mask. You're
That's
right.
he's dead.
That was her debut in acting too.
Amazing.
I
Yeah.
mean, Charlie's Angels, Lucy Liu. Brought that
Oh,
one
Lucy
out.
Liu.
You didn't watch Charlie's Angels? Fucking Charlie.
Hell, even Lucy Liu and
I'll just say.
fucking,
I'll just say the line of the movie: "Dusk till dawn."
Oh, Salma
Salma
Hayek.
Hayek.
No, but Salma
And
Hayek was bad
Desperado.
at Desperado. And she was
And
naked in that
Desperado.
movie.
Angelina Jolie as Laura Croft.
Yes, I said that.
Nah, that doesn't like.
What?
Not my
No,
top.
that's when she looked pretty damn
She
good.
was-
Nicole Kidman,
looking-
it's a toss-up because she was great in Batman Forever. She was also great in
How did we
Practical
get to this
Magic.
conversation? I don't know.
Well, because he said Nicole Kidman and it sparked. I have
Wait
it
till
in my
Sydney.
notes.
Wait till Sydney Sweeney plays Black Cat.
Oh my God,
Am I
Sydney
wrong?
Sweeney in anything. Sydney Sweeney in a fucking burlap sack.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Am I wrong? Oh, Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, that's a dead ringer.
That's like,
That's a top.
Michelle
that's
Pfeiffer in Batman
top tier.
Returns.
ooh, Michelle Pfeiffer. I like that. That's a good one. So yeah, keep that in. If you keep thinking of ones as we go on.
Well, along
One
the
pops
lines,
in your head.
this is a good one. Kind
Alexandra
of along those lines.
Daddario is another one that's underrated. Like people don't talk about her, but she got them fucking piercing blue eyes. She's good in everything. But she was in that Percy Jackson movie.
I didn't watch this.
I've never been. I always thought people that are like have a cartoon crush are fucking weird. You know, when they're like,
Jessica
oh,
Rabbit.
she's
Jessica
hot.
Rabbit?
Jessica Rabbit. Okay, so here's what I'm
Impossible.
getting
Or
at.
even the blonde haired chick from Cool World. Come on.
Well, here's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I'm getting
Brad
is
Pitt.
where's your exception to that? My only exception to cartoons being hot is Rogue. I think Rogue. I always thought Rogue was sexy as hell.
Yeah, but she's also a comic book character, so it's like, and she was created
Yeah,
for comics, became a cartoon.
kinda
Jessica
weird.
Rabbit was made to be a cartoon,
Kinda
so was
weird.
Cool World.
Jessica Rabbit's definitely, I think, for any kid.
And then
that was
there's like
born-
the
post
Lola
Roger
Bunny
Rabbit.
stands, but that's kind of like bestiality. It's I don't know, it's funny. It's all weird, with the animal shit.
Well, who's the chick from Roger Rabbit? What's her?
What the
Jessica
fuck?
Rabbit?
What is this kid?
No, fucking. What's her name? Not her. From the other fucking card. The chick with the red dress.
Jessica Rabbit.
That's Jessica Rabbit. She
Isn't
has
Jessica
red
Rabbit
hair.
a
Red
fucking
hair.
rabbit?
No,
No.
she's a human. That was the joke.
Have you never
Was
seen
that he
Who
was
Framed Roger?
so Who
yeah,
Framed
yeah,
Roger
I
Rabbit?
was a child.
So listen,
you
he
haven't
goes
seen
to the
Who Framed
Incan.
Roger Rabbit?
I
since?
have seen it. I haven't
Since?
watched it recently. No,
Shut
who
the
the fuck's
podcast
watched
off.
that?
What are we doing?
He goes to the
You mean to
Incan
tell me
Paint
you've watched
Club.
Roger Rabbit in the past
Yes.
20 years?
Yes.
Listen, so
Probably
Eddie
within the last
Valiant
5.
goes to Toontown. He gets sucked into this fucking investigation. He has to go spy on Jessica Rabbit because Roger Rabbit's wanted for murder.
Are you
right?
explaining the plot
Yeah,
of
we know
Roger
the
Rabbit
plot.
to me?
So what
Why?
happens then is he goes to the Incan Paint Club where she works, thinking it's going to be a fucking rabbit, and she steps out and she's a fucking gorgeous human cartoon.
Nah, see, I was
And
confusing
that was the
her
joke,
with
was
Lola
that she was
Bunny.
with him because he makes her laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, now
Should
that
have
we're
been
caught
a
up
lesson
speed
to
with
you
that.
and all kids.
Because I made him laugh.
Phoebe Cates,
What does he keep
Fast
saying
Times
when he's
at
fucking
Ridgemont
looking
High.
up?
Sometimes it's the
Patty
most
cake,
powerful.
patty cake.
Patty cake, patty cake, patty cake.
You do that too.
She was the apple of my eye, the cream of my coffee.
It sounds like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Man. Oh, Roger Rabbit was.
Dear Jessica, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. A 1 1,000, a 2 1,000, a 3 1,000.
Imagine him at like 5 trying to watch that shit with him.
Oh, I used to bounce
Never.
off the walls. In fact,
Never.
I actually met Charles Fleischer, who does the voice.
Oh my god.
Please, Eddie.
You know, Super Mario was in that movie.
That's right.
What
That's right. Boom.
do you mean?
Because he was Eddie Valiant. Eddie Valiant became.
Oh, yeah, Bob Hoskins.
Yep.
I thought you meant Charles Martinet. Like, when the fuck was he in?
The worst Super Mario, Bob Hoskins. Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
Nothing
That's
nothing
your-
like the swimming pool scene.
That's
Sorry.
That's definitely your
My generation is
That-
just like,
yeah.
wow.
broken VCRs.
Yes.
Sheesh.
Rewind that and hit pause.
Jesus.
Oh,
Wow, that was a good
yeah.
one. Good. That was a winner.
Macho Madness.
So what do we have on the menu tonight? What are we supposed to talk
Rob,
think
what do
we're
you have in
supposed
the
to-
box?
So, really excited. I just-
Tricky Ricky in the house,
Hey, it's Tricky!
Fucking
From the
happening?
Dungeon and Scylla as well.
Boys.
And I'm giving you the camera. I got to pee.
All right, so
I'll just keep it on him anyway.
so
don't look
basically,
at
I just shot a bunch of footage and shit for the next episode of What's in the Box.
what's in the box?
As you can see, I got a couple of the figures here on the table. Cap, Spidey, and the Thing are all part of the new video.
Move that into the center.
I dug
they
She-Hulk out
can't,
of
they
one
can't
of the
see that.
bins.
Move it into the center.
He can't see him. See,
Oh,
there's
it's
the
the
thing. So here's the thing.
There's the thing.
I got something to get off my chest, you know. But the figures that I open are all Marvel Legends. It's a big Marvel episode, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun opening them, and there's a little Easter egg toy playing action at the end of the video, so you guys can look forward to that. But what is not part of that, and something I'm going to be showing off on the show today that I haven't opened yet, I got 3 things here. Number 1 is going to be Demo Man. So, for those who are not familiar with him, even if you're fans of the Masters Universe line, they actually came out with this toy when they were doing the Masters Universe Classics figures. It was basically supposed to be like the evil spirit that overtakes Skeletor, and he's...
Look at them.
what?
I'm just saying, look at the camera.
I am looking at the camera. I got sunglasses on. You can't see where my eyes are? So, this is the Demo Man. It's the like I said, it's the evil spirit that makes Skeletor Skeletor. So they made him on the classic scale, so he looks like the original toys, but with the posability.
Is
comes
that
with
a
the extra
Walmart exclusive?
No, this was actually on the Mattel Creations website. Limit of 3, I think you can order. But I got 2, one to open, one to keep in the box. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll finally dump that entire Master Universe collection and sell it. But I don't know. I always had like a dream of having every He-Man figure like hanging up on the wall, and this is the only way I'll be able to do that.
Dungeon did say, "Damn, Rob, where did you find Demo Man?"
Yeah, so he might actually still be available on the Mattel Creations website. I'm not sure. Next up in the villains of the 80s. Destro! Cobra! So this is Cobra Commander. Why I love this figure.
OG Cobra Commander.
So they actually made him finally have a reflective visor for the updated card box.
It's a reflective visor? Let me see that.
Yeah, so this is actually chrome, which is really nice.
It used to be painted gray.
So yeah, the previous releases of this figure have a very just like spray painted silver, not even like reflective. This has got the chrome dome, love it.
Did you like
and
the
it's got
helmet?
the classic packaging. So this is packaged just like the original figure was back in 1980.
What version of Cobra Commander do you like better? Like the original, like this with the helmet, or do you like the one that had like the mask?
So the helmet version is my favorite, but I didn't have the helmet version as a little kid. I had the rag version. It was like a kind of a sheet over his head.
Yeah.
And it was purple, and it had like the Cobra logo on his forehead.
For me, this is like classic Joe. Like,
But this from the cartoon, loved the helmet. Still a stan of the helmet, even though I didn't have it originally. Ended up scooping one years later with the helmet, but so I do have a vintage one that looks like that. And then the third thing that I want to show off in
hold on, we have Big Boa.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of my favorite Cobra guys as a kid. The original 3 3/4 Big Boa had like kind of rubber gloves. I used to bite them as a kid.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just one of those things.
you could
Explains
slip
so
them off
much.
his hands.
Yeah. He had like removable like
I did the
boxing
same
gloves.
thing with the Balrog figure that they
It
came
was the
out
same
with. from
figure.
the-
kinda
Oh,
just
really? Was
repainted.
Balrog?
Yeah, same figure.
I remember.
But yeah, we used to bite the gloves.
And what's funny is I ended up
Fucking
buying that
eat
because
lead paint chips.
the new Sergeant Slaughter, Slaughter's Marauders Slaughter figure.
Speaking of
came
G.I.
out
Joe.
with the blue gloves, so he can fight him.
Is that the new? Yeah.
And Big Boa actually was released because they were originally supposed to have Rocky as a G.I. Joe figure.
Absolutely.
And then they put him in the order of battle. There's a picture of him. They kind of were starting to develop the figure. The deal fell through, and they actually had to rescind that.
Do you
So,
think there was ever
Oh.
a prototype of that figure anywhere?
Yes, there is.
There is.
In fact, there's images of the face sculpt. They
yes,
look like
'cause-
Stallone and everything.
As a matter of fact, you told me that story, and not a week later, it popped up on my Instagram story because it was some kind of anniversary. And it said, "Oh, like yeah, there was a whole Rocky deal in the works."
I actually
and they
met
made
the
figure.
artist that did that order of battle, and I got a couple of prints from him.
G.I. Joe's top 5 all-time cartoons.
I swear it was one of the things I missed. I did not do. I
missed
did
out.
more like
You really missed out.
Transformers.
Well, it makes sense because
It
my
was
brother
right-
was the one that
It
got
was
me into
right,
G.I. Joe.
like
At the end.
I think at the end when I was a kid. You
yeah,
know, I was
it
born
was-
in '87.
Yeah, not.
Toy like playing with
Probably
toys.
you were
was
90s, so like you were 3-4 years old. you
Ninja
weren't-
Turtles. It was.
Yeah,
It was that
Batman
when that
animated
took
series,
off. Yes.
X-Men. I got it.
Yes.
Yeah, so like when I was 3 or 4, this is He-Man and G.I. Joe. That was Thundercats, Transformers.
I do remember my mother hating the fact that there was the rubber band or the gasket and it would snap. She just felt like they were too cheap. Like she didn't want to
Yeah.
even like buy them. But I always did like playing with fucking G.I. Joes and Army Men back in the day.
Speaking of G.I. Joes and Army Men, this is the last one that I have to show off today. And I'll be doing a dedicated
man.
video to this. But this is a crossover of Transformers and G.I. Joe where they've turned the Triple T tank into a Transformer, which is pretty insane. Never seen anything like this. And it comes with a new O-ring Sergeant Slaughter figure and a Leatherneck figure. So it actually gets 2 Joes and the tank.
You got me the Megatron for my birthday list.
Megatron. Yeah, it was a Megatron that turns into a Hiss tank, and I believe it came with the Baroness.
Yep.
They've come out with a couple of them so far, but I really had.
I'm looking forward to that unboxing. I really want to to see that.
Yeah, I bought 2. I'm gonna leave one in the box. I have it in the big Sergeant Slaughter bin.
Rob, is that a 30th anniversary PS5 controller on the table?
Yeah, so this is actually not the 30th anniversary.
Hey, they don't know that.
It's not. I'm not gonna lie to the people, and it's also a different color scheme, so anybody
They're
savvy
not
enough would
gonna
know that
know
it's
that.
not real.
All right.
Because this part is actually a lighter gray. On the official release. I actually got this custom controller from a website called Laza Mods. LAZAMODZ.
What did it cost you?
I think it was like $150.
Fuck that.
It was. So what's impressive about the quality of what they do is that they're made to order. So you put in the order, you're not getting it for a couple of months. They actually take a real PS5 controller, disassemble it, and then literally build it from the ground up with all the custom pieces. You can get it to be shiny, glossy, or matte. You can design what kind of buttons they have. You can have divoted analog controllers, or you can have them with the bumps. It feels just as if I got this from a GameStop or something, like it was a brand new controller for PS5. And I actually pre-ordered this before they announced the 30th anniversary of PlayStation, so I'm like, fuck. But I don't regret the purchase because, like I said, I did get a darker color scheme on this, so it's actually more in line of what I wanted. But I did end up scooping a 30th anniversary controller on the PlayStation Direct website, and I did pre-order the PS5 Pro.
I was just thinking, wouldn't Rocky G.I. Joe just be
Rambo?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't. Well, Rambo, I
So
think
look,
was considered too visceral for the kids, and then he ended up getting his own cartoon anyway.
This is apparently the plastic that.
Oh, you could put it up.
This is what they were going to use apparently. But I think the card is funny because he's got the headband. He's got the Rambo headband
Absolutely.
on the
And I
card.
like that he had the red, white, and blue on his sweatpants and shit. It would have been a cool looking figure, but
Yeah, it's too large, I
they just didn't. They didn't go through with it, and then they ended up having to put in an official retraction on the next order of battle, saying that Rocky Balboa was not and has never been part of the G.I. Joe team or whatever. Which is pretty fucking stupid. I think Sylvester Stallone would have been a great G.I. Joe, especially after they made that Expendables movie too.
It's probably over money.
Oh, of course. I mean, shit. Even to this day, you want to go get Sylvester Stallone's autograph, it's probably gonna be like $600.
Damn.
It was $550 at New York Comic Con in 2015. So
Is it going up? How much would Arnold Schwarzenegger?
You fucking
Yo, there is a
bullshit here.
crazy fucking
Yeah,
match going on right now.
There is a
on
crazy match.
SmackDown.
We're watching
There's-
SmackDown.
SmackDown. Is that a good
Ladder
transition to wrestling
Chris
talk?
is watching
That's what we're talking
SmackDown.
about.
That's-
So as usual, Friday night live, Break Room Live, we've got SmackDown live on Friday
We're
night.
competing with the
Shit, yo,
WWE
they're about to
every
take
week.
backdrops off the ladder onto
I don't know about
ladders.
that.
Look, the
We're
ladders in the
competing.
corners there. There's a crazy ladder match going on. They've used the ladder in different ways already that I've ever seen it used. Oh,
Damn.
they
I
just
haven't
fell
heard
through
that
that ladder.
They broke that ladder.
And now
That's
they're
Good
going-
God Almighty, he killed him!
Said it.
Oh, the other ladder.
Backdrops to two
Oh,
ladders.
They all died.
And now it's gonna be Tongaloa who wins it.
One guy did
Imagine
a
he
full
falls off.
extension frog splash.
So in
off
the-
the
That
fucking
ladder.
belt.
In the vein of
onto the
SmackDown
announcer
and
table.
pro wrestling kind of segue talk, all of us except I think Rob recently completed
Not Chris.
the Vince McMahon
Or
doc.
did.
He did
No, I
the
said
Vince
not Chris.
McMahon, Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix. It's a 6-episode episodic documentary showcasing the trials and tribulations of Vince McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation.
They are
Vince, since you're like kind of
novice.
least like historian wise in terms of like knowledge base and like the earlier days of WWF outsider, I guess. Outsider, Hall and Nash. What were your impressions? Anything in there that you learned, or is it mostly just like rehashed content?
Ever since we started the show, you guys have introduced me to so much, and I've watched and consumed so much that, yeah, it is a lot of rehash. But, I think it's a good condensed version because a lot of the things that I learned were all over the place. You had to, watch 5 to 10 different things to even learn a lot about it. It's definitely not something that I felt was, like, harsh against McMahon in a sense. I don't think really...
It wasn't a double shovel burial, as they were saying it was going to be.
It was filmed. They make a note that it was filmed before.
2021.
All the allegations, all the interviews are pretty much before or are before. So it really, to me, it's just you're watching the history of the when you're learning about the history of Vince McMahon, you're learning about the history of the WWF, learning about the business, where it came from. You asked, what did I learn? I didn't know Gorilla Monsoon was going to buy the WWF from Vince McMahon Sr. I had no idea that was a thing, and that
he was the heir apparent.
Yeah. He was the heir
He was
apparent.
incumbent.
Junior kind of undercut him, and I don't think
gave him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Well, Gorilla made plenty of money still, he was still heavily involved. I mean, that's what.
Here's a question: position. Would the WWF become what it became if it was Gorilla Monsoon?
No, it would have stayed regional and slightly branched out a little bit more. But no, Vince McMahon's vision and say what you want. Like, obviously, he stepped on a lot of toes along the way to do what he did. And it's kind of like get what you reap what you sow, because what he did in the early 80s by extracting all that talent from all those smaller regional promotions like Hulk Hogan, Jesse Ventura, Bobby Heenan, Andre the Giant, the list goes on, and he just stacked his all-star roster up for the early 80s for WrestleMania 1. And then you fast forward to like the mid-90s, WCW did that to him. Right. They took Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and Bret Hart and all these major stars from the WWF, and that for him it's like he looked at it almost like he's saying, oh, wow, they stole from me and they used my talent. He did the same thing to Vern Gagne and all these other smaller...
And they called him out for that, too.
It's poised to Vince McMahon. You can see the whatever you call it, ego. That I would say, if anything, with some of those interviews, McMahon reveals himself a little bit in his natural responses. It shows kind of his psychology and the way he thinks, because he blocks shit out. He's a visionary, of course, and he's sort of a one-way street, the way he thinks and does things, because it is poised to him like, well, just like you said, WCW kind of, did the same thing to you, and he couldn't, like, see what the guy was even saying in a sense. He was almost, like, in denial, or just kind of, he just ended up kind of shutting it down.
That was really my biggest complaint with the whole documentary, is I felt like we would get to see a side of Vince that we hadn't seen before. And I did appreciate the cursing. You would never hear Vince say fuck or shit. Fuck him. So, little things like that. It kind of had like a Last Dance vibe to it. Right. So it's good for like the Netflix crowd. If you're tuning in Netflix, hold on, let me get this out. I just didn't feel like he lowered his guard or he removed like his corporate answers. Like, he kept his answers very like straightforward, and he danced around a couple of tough questions. Like Sable, they asked him about the law. He's like, oh, I don't even remember that. And really? She took you to court. You don't remember it?
She took the money. He ended up
came back
just little things like that. Like, he danced around too much. I was hoping that they would give him, candid, more like just uncovered.
There's childhood.
Somebody says
I wanted that as well. Like, they didn't really go there.
To that point, and okay, two things, childhood. But first, you see what he wants to show you. Somebody
Triple H said that. You're going to see what he wants you to see.
And to your point, he never lets his guard down. He is always putting on a defense, whatever. He's presenting you the show.
He's presenting,
He's always on stage.
You're never going to get that.
He's appling you.
In a sense, there is a very... Well, welcome to my reality.
It's a spin.
This is my reality, and you're going to see it the way that I show it to you. But also to your I didn't know the part about him not growing up with his dad as a kid.
There were nuggets of new information.
He grew up like,
there were a few moments of things we didn't know about.
Getting beat up by his stepdad.
He
That's
said
common
incest,
knowledge,
but we don't
I guess
know
you could
what
say.
incest, how that worked. Like, you don't know.
Kind of threw that one out.
Well, so
just said the word incest.
He's on the record. He did a Playboy interview many years ago where that's where he said that there was some sort of sexual abuse when he was a kid, and it was from his mom's side.
So that does really fuck you up. I will say, I'm not giving anybody a cop out or anything for what you do or how you treat people.
Abuse people.
Yeah, it's a weird fucked up thing for people. So So I didn't know that. I didn't know that part. I thought Vince McMahon, I'll tell you my perspective. I thought Vince McMahon grew up under Vince McMahon Sr. and similar to Shane.
Silver Spoon.
Yeah, Silver Spoon.
He
or
grew
whatever.
up in a trailer park.
Right. I didn't know that part. I didn't know that he met his father later, and his dad kept him at arm's length, even still, in a sense. Emotionally, the pat on the back, it kind of shows itself when they're talking about him and Shane.
Right.
So
that's where there was new stuff. When they were talking about his dynamic with Shane, there was a little bit more there. And Shane McMahon, like, looked like such a salt of the earth, like, relatable. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought.
I love Shane McMahon.
I love Shane too, and I've on the
him
record
very much.
said a lot of stuff. You know, I've always liked Shane. Just
It's
as a performer.
It's unfortunate that he didn't get the reins.
I bought into the character that they presented. I bought into, Shane being
Here comes the money.
like a spoiled dick.
Yeah.
Totally bought into that. But to see the reality and the behind the scenes and what he was trying to prove to his father and all of that, you're like, oh, I can really respect. And you can see the locker room having that respect for him. So
you saw the highlight reel of
you're
all
not
his
getting the
biggest
dirt.
spots.
I'll say this: it wasn't a dirty. You don't feel gross watching it. So I think that's a good thing.
It had that like kind of vibe though before the actual show came out. Like the trailers made it seem like this is like a really seedy, like you're gonna find out stuff about Vince and it's gonna make you want to puke.
No, and it's a tough topic for everybody. But it's just, again, goes back to, you just can't separate the legacies of the WWF and Vince McMahon.
There wouldn't be one. There would be no legacy. They wouldn't be in business still.
Right. So when you're talking about it, and it's one of those challenges that they're gonna try to erase him in a sense, because for the next 10 years or so, they're not going to talk about him on the show, but he's going to pass away. Knock on wood, not tomorrow, not the next year, whatever. But again,
the Vince McMahon Battle Royal.
Right? Does it go back to that? Can he accept what he's done and somehow find a way to
recover?
I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. Apologies don't do it, but he's not the type that would apologize to begin with. He's got sociopathic shit going on.
Definitely.
Like, that's what I saw a few times when he was talking about the computers in his brain. He's like,
I actually related a lot to that when he said, because that's how I always think of
And
things.
then he said there's a third one that just thinks about sex.
Yeah.
It's like, what's that one thinking about? Well, fun sex.
Things that involve sex.
All right, I get.
But I do like the way that he thinks with, he said there's multiple computers in his head. Because, I don't know, that's kind of how, like, when I'm multitasking things at work, I have, like, 6 computers. And after that, I'm, like, at my max, and I can't take on any more responsibilities. And
so
I thought that was somewhat relatable.
From the Dungeon says, a lot of people said this Vince documentary is not for the hardcore fans, but for the casuals. Yeah, it's not Dark Side of the Ring. It's not that tone.
I don't think they were trying to tear them apart because they were going to be doing that deal with WWE, and I think that it would hurt the product.
It's a good point.
I did, though, appreciate some of the talent that they had on there. So they had Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Cody Rhodes. Like, they had a stacked...
Everyone but Sable.
Yeah, everyone.
Bret Hart was funny.
Bret is great.
I'm sorry, but it was a little self-indulgent. I was such an artist. I mean, he's not wrong. He is, but it's like when somebody says it about themselves, it's a little
of himself.
He was a true artist. There's an art in pro wrestling.
True artist,
Gus. True artist. Busy, Ben. Fucking busy.
And it was interesting to even see his point of view on things because, like, he would call Vince out when he was like, fuck him. But there were times where he would, I don't want to say he was defending Vince, but,
About the steroid scandal?
The steroid thing, he was like.
Never told me to take steroids.
Yeah, there was even with Owen, he was saying, like, he kind of thought.
Everyone in 1980 to 89, 95.
Yeah.
15 years of steroids.
Yeah.
That's just what it was.
I mean, it's back now. Though.
Athletes, HGH and all these
back
other methods
now, and
now.
it's more
crazy, bro. It's crazy with it.
It's more in Hollywood and more in like
Ozempic and
other
testosterone and fucking. It's back. We're back, baby.
It's back.
So I think that was just a fucking, one of those wild goose chases. They were just.
What did you think of the Screwjob episode? Does that sway you in any way, or did you get more of a kind of?
No, I always felt.
Did you ever watch Wrestling with Shadows?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I watched the whole thing. I thought from the beginning that I would always watch you guys argue about it, and I didn't get the full picture, but I always thought, like, that was just a real scummy thing to do because it was laid out where Brett could give up the belt. It was going to happen. Brett was going to give it up. Brett doesn't seem like the type of guy that would even do some shady shit and try to bring it to WCW.
No.
So, you know, him having worked for Vince for all those years, it's such a dick thing to do, and it's such an ego trip. It's just another part of the sociopathic mindset I think Vince has.
Well, he did that to Wendy Richter 10 years prior, who was the women's champion, and she felt like she earned it and didn't want to give up the title, so he just had the ref fast counter with her,
Boom, boom, boom.
and took the belt, and then she was fired and let go. So
It was funny.
there was screw jobs like
There was precedent.
No, you know
for
okay,
it.
so you know what I didn't see in the rest of those documentaries was Vince's side, really, and he's like, he hit me right in the eye with that loogie. I was
Knocked him
thinking,
out.
how the fuck did he hit me in the eye with that
was
spit?
funny, yeah.
I thought that was funny.
How
I
did
thought
he hit me?
You know, and then somebody, who the hell else were they interviewing?
The Undertaker.
Yeah, he was looking. You know, Vince was fucking had that shiner.
Yeah.
And he was like really discombobulated after.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I
funny
love
too.
that-
He was talking about how Vince always tells the story like, I gave Brett one good hit. And Brett's like, I don't know where this story comes from that Vince like let me hit him. He's like, no. We tangled up and I hit him. He didn't let me hit him. I thought that was funny.
Right.
Really set the record straight on that one.
I love Brett.
Also, the
story
Owen,
never changes. Never.
the Owen stuff
That's tough to watch.
is tough. It's very difficult to
Really tough.
watch Brett, even all these years later. Of course, you know, losing a brother, get choked up, say that when he was on the plane that he felt something was wrong. You know, and that's the kind of stuff that tells you like, oh, there's something else out there. Whatever is out there, it's out there. Because if your brother dies tragically and you get this gut check feeling out of nowhere and you just know, you know, that's tough to watch. That shit is tough
Still
to watch.
bothers me to this day that Owen had the option after the screw job to leave, and he chose to stay. That was a mistake.
And they dogged him. They dogged
That
him with a
wound
lot
up
of
costing
that
him his career and his life ultimately.
Yeah, that stuff.
I did think it was interesting that Brett said, you know, initially, like, he blamed them, but then after the investigation was done and they found there was no foul play, it was just
He let
a
it.
horrible accident.
He let it go.
He let it go. He didn't, like,
That's important.
cling on to this thing that, you know, Vince killed him. He,
Right.
you know,
That-
it was just a fucked
That's
up
ugly.
thing.
That's an ugly way to think. It's just like
Yeah.
you don't want to think that in your life. That you don't want to carry shit like that in your life.
No.
Which
So
Brett
for the-
already carries
And
a
then
lot
he said
of
the
shit,
cops
so.
went. The cops went directly
Fuck
to
Goldberg. They didn't have him on the fucking thing. Piece of shit.
What was another funny part? It was hilarious to watch. What's his name from WCW?
Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff. Just, he's like, you know, a wannabe
Trolling.
Vince McMahon. So you can see how many
Yeah.
times he says like, "We got him," you know, 96 weeks or whatever the name of the 83 weeks. You know, it's so. 83 weeks. He says it like fucking 15 times, and they cut it real quick.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. It's one of those fucking American only stories. It's one of the most unique stories in American capitalism and entertainment. So you're watching it with this thing kind of in the back of your head, like, man, this guy really abused his fucking power in a way that is very ugly. But you know, the product that was created, I don't know. Do you separate the two? How do you look at it? It's a conflict.
You
It's
can't.
a conflicting thing.
You can't
It's-
separate the creation of like the pro wrestling era and the pro wrestling boom in the 80s and even in the Attitude Era in the 90s without Vince McMahon. There is none.
There were no guns, and it's literally Brian fucking Pillman with a gun.
That was you know, that was that
Stone
was
Cold
one
bleeding.
example. They find every worst possible example out of a weekly episode
It's
of
just,
TV
it's
show.
just showing you
Flipped it,
The big question really is the difference between Vince McMahon and Mr. McMahon. That was the question that
There is
they
no
kept
difference.
throughout. Well, some people say there
Every
is, some people say there's
superstar-
not.
Well, that was funny because Vince McMahon's like, yeah, there's a definite difference. And then everyone's like, no, there's no difference.
Shawn Michaels,
Yeah, everybody.
Undertaker,
It's like-
fucking Stone Cold, for everybody. You know what I mean? Come on now.
Well, I think what the
Oh.
reality is that all the parts of Mr. McMahon are part of Vince, but Vince is deeper than just the Mr. McMahon character.
It's like
There's
Ric
more
Flair.
elements
It's the
to
same
him,
thing
you
as
know?
Ric Flair. Ric
He's
Flair is
deeper than he
a
lets
guy,
off,
and
but the things that Mr. McMahon are also part of him.
Right. And you know. The guy's haunted by his own fucking.
I enjoyed it. I think it'll be like my little, newer Last Dance. I'll have that on the background, and when I'm bored and sick of watching everything else. But I just felt like it needed something more tangible that I hadn't seen.
Something that
or even if I had seen it, like I really wanted them to just go hard on the interviews and really uncover Vince McMahon, what his guard down, kind of just undressed. I wanted to see what's behind that persona.
They didn't talk
what's
about the whole
behind
Ashley Massaro thing.
That shit's
They
stuff.
touched on it.
That stuff.
They touched on it. Yeah,
They touched on it briefly.
They touched on a lot. Every scandal, every type of issue. They
CTE
went on all of that.
It became more of a WWE documentary than it was a Vince.
That's a bunch
Oh,
of bullshit.
Stone Cold said that.
Well, I think
Concussions. I remember more than one.
In Stone Cold's defense, I think his point was more so two things. One, again, if you're getting a concussion every day, then you're doing something wrong, was one of his points. If you're getting multiple concussions, then you're wrestling wrong. You shouldn't be getting multiple concussions, I think was his point. And also, I think he doesn't like, the CTE thing almost being like an excuse for Chris Benoit's behavior. I think that is kind of what he was getting at. Maybe they're painting a target around an arrow that was shot, whereas, a lot of them, I think, just think that, Chris Benoit went crazy.
I will tell you, being a football fan, there are many stories that are exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Guys
clearly
that
a
have
thing.
taken their trucks and driven head-on into traffic, full speed, highway speeds, kill their families, kill themselves.
Yeah,
this
there's
has
that
happened.
football player.
At least there's probably 10 to 20 of them that are known and mainstream. So I'm not going to give any kind of excuse for or cop out. I'll just say
it's clearly
that's
real.
real.
Yeah. Chris Nowinski said you could see it under a microscope. You can look at it and
I
see it
also
with your
thought
own
it was
eyes.
smart for the WWE to bring him in.
Yeah.
Someone who was investigating it or interested in it, and they said, you know what? Let's bring this guy on board.
He won Tough Enough. He won the game show.
He lost Tough Enough.
He lost that. Well, he was on Tough Enough. He was one of the finalists.
Yeah, he was a finalist.
I think the
with
first
Maven.
one with Maven. Yeah, so he was on the first Tough Enough, which was like the MTV reality show of Can You Become a WWF Wrestler?
That's the one where Stone Cold tells the story about
I shit my pants. Yeah, that was a later season, but the very first season, the thing with Tough Enough is anyone that ever won Tough Enough or was on it never became anything. So that's where
John
it's
Morrison.
John Morrison is probably the
Miz
and the
was
Miz was on it, but he
Didn't win it. Yeah.
He didn't win it.
Well, he
Anyone
was also
that won
from
it,
the real world first, wasn't he?
Yeah.
The Miz.
yes. But yeah, Chris Nowinski was on Tough Enough. He became a wrestler, and then it's pretty crazy that he's the because that was his gimmick, was he was a Harvard graduate that became a wrestler, and then he had to stop because he got concussions, and then that became his area of study.
I think the only time we'll really get what you're talking about, which is like a full veil pullback, is when Vince is gone.
Yeah,
And
probably.
even then-
But it won't be
and
from.
even then-
Won't be
But it won't be
from Vince. Is
You'll
what I'm
never get
saying.
it from those guys. Again, Jobs, and I brought up a couple others before. Like, it really requires the 2020 hindsight to bring out probably the stuff that you're not seeing. The film, all right, let's just say you're filming an interview with Vince McMahon. We got the on the book stuff. We got the stuff we're going to use. And then we got all this other film footage.
I want to hear this stuff that if Vince were to write his biography in a book, I want to hear that story.
I think that's what
It's
we
gonna
got. I don't
require
think he's
him-
going to tell anything else.
It's gonna
about
No,
require
I'm
him-
saying hypothetically, if he did that, usually when someone does a biography on themselves,
when they're sick.
they unveil things like even the Bret Hart book. Like I read things in there that I didn't expect from
Here's
Bret.
a good thing.
That book is by far the best book in pro wrestling. It's my
what is it
life in
called?
the cartoon world of pro wrestling.
Wow,
I didn't know Bret Hart was a pothead. I did not know that.
Hell yeah.
I did not know that
Yeah,
he
the kid.
excessively cheated on his wife throughout the years.
Really? Oh, I
Oh.
didn't know that.
While other guys were doing coke and all stuff, Bret was out getting laid and getting high.
So I guess Shawn Michaels is real assholes for saying sunny days. I mean, he wasn't.
Well, he didn't
Wasn't
bang
lying.
Sonny.
He's banging other women.
He
Same
didn't bang
thing.
Sonny.
Still guilty of the crime. It's just the details.
In the book, he says,
Well-
I didn't bang Sonny, but I would have liked to. But you did, Sean. So that was like,
And it was a little too close to home. He was pulling
Yeah.
the curtain back a little
well,
bit
yeah,
too far.
you're
fucking with
throwing a
you're
buddy
fucking
under
with
the
my
bus,
house.
man.
Yeah.
You're throwing somebody under the bus
You're
that's
fucking with my home and
supposed
my
to be your
kids.
coworker and your, You're traveling the road with this person.
on
He's
the
throwing you under the
circus.
bus, man. You're fucking. You're
for
tailing
clicks.
But the
me
whole
out.
point was
For
that he was
clicks and
saying that
likes.
Shawn Michaels is this lewd and depraved person and that he's making a spectacle of himself. And Shawn's saying, you're a fucking hypocrite. You're cheating on your wife.
Well, no, the difference is Bret Hart specifically asked Shawn Michaels, is it okay if I say this stuff on air? And Shawn's like, yeah, go ahead, no problem. Bret Hart specifically said, you can talk about my character, but not about my personal life. And he took it personal and went to a personal life. There's a difference.
Oh,
Fuck Shawn Michaels. He's a piece of shit.
that's a very biased opinion, obviously.
It's not a biased
It's
opinion.
a biased assessment
it's
of the
not
situation. You're
not
a
a
pro-Bret guy. You
not
cannot
a
say you're not
pro-
biased. You're biased. You love Bret. You said fuck Shawn Michaels.
But why do I love Bret?
For all the reasons. I mean, don't make me fucking
You love
say
Canada?
No, he's just an honest, fucking good fucking person. He's someone you can actually look up to as a hero. Where Shawn Michaels treated people wrong, and he fucking
You go on the road 364 days a year and don't cheat.
He's done a lot of good since.
impossible.
I want to get back to Vince. If you
Get
could,
the fuck out.
if you could ask one question.
Biggest coos hound was the Undertaker, though.
No, he wasn't the biggest.
I
If you could
heard
ask
he
Vince
was-
one question
What? I
or
heard he
one
was.
thing that wasn't answered, and I'll start.
Yeah. How long?
I
did it
wanna
take-
know-
How long did it take Shawn to come? That's what I want to know.
I want to. You guys are fucking stepping. We can't clip this now
comes in
'cause
1,
you're
2,
fucking
3,
it before I can even start the question. I don't know why I try anymore. I'm just gonna fucking change the camera.
no,
You
go ahead.
cocksuckers. If you could ask Vince one question, my question would be, what would you do if WCW
saying
did
it to
win and WWF went out of business? Then what would he do?
The XFL.
I know he would probably say, I don't like answering hypothetical questions. But I really want to know if WCW continued their streak and defeated the WWE, WWF, whatever, what would and WWF went out of business because they just couldn't compete, what would Vince have done with the rest of his life?
I don't know that he would have answered that, but
He
a
wouldn't.
question around that would be like, what if your dad gave the WWF to Gorilla Monsoon? What would you have done with your life?
That's a good one.
He might have started his own promotion.
What is John Gruden doing? Even though he can't coach football right now, he's watching football. He's fucking living it.
Yeah.
Like, these guys you can't remove them from the thing that they are.
Absolutely.
You can't remove John Madden from football. Or
The
Vince
thing about Vince
Lombardi or-
McMahon, though, that I learned from the
So
Under
Vince
the
would have
Black Hat
been
that
found
he
a
didn't
way.
watch other shit though, unless it was like starting to rival his own. He never watched any other products.
Right.
He would have other people create like 1 or 2 minute videos if it was like on his radar.
Oh.
And he's like, explain this to me because I'm not watching.
They said that in the documentary, too. Yeah.
Also, what did Bruce Pritchard say? There's things about Vince McMahon you don't know, see, or he doesn't talk about, and one of them was paying for his wife's cancer treatment to make sure she lived past the fucking 6
There's a lot of
months
stories.
or-
JR, when
things
his
you
wife
probably
died.
you don't know, and he didn't go out and ring his own bell about.
Speaking of Bruce Pritchard, I did like that they cut to him towards the end and they asked him, hey, so you saw like a rough draft of this documentary. What'd you think? And he's like, it's bullshit.
I don't know what he was talking about, though, because they didn't it didn't feel like a gotcha piece. They didn't trash Vince at all.
What?
I don't.
What are you talking about? There was not one positive element to the entire documentary about like Vince did this and he did all these great things. Everything was under the negative light. Everything was under a negative
I didn't
scope.
really see it that way.
I didn't perceive it too much that way. I gotta be
I'd
honest.
seen like pretty pro Vince at various points.
Pro-
Pro
thought the
Vince, and-
first-
but then they just like pro Vince, but he did this. Oh, well, then he did this.
But
And then this happened.
he was given the chance
this
to
happened, this
provide
happened.
his perspective and why he did it. And I think, as long as you do that, it
But
really
none
didn't
of-
seem like a
but
burial.
none of it, other than the first
really-
episode, was a positive light. Before he took over his dad's business, he did WrestleMania 1 and WrestleMania 3 was a huge hit. Blah blah blah. And I do how like Dave Meltzer goes, no, it's not 93,000, 78,000 in the Silverdome. Anyway, but no,
That's according to Dave.
the
He
context
doesn't know
of
what
the
the
entire documentary was negative.
I think
Just read the episodes.
once
Screw
they-
job, finish. Like they're all labeled negatively.
once it got to the
Scandal.
steroid thing and the neck brace, I thought that was when it started
Oh,
to
he
kind
became
of
a heel right then and there.
it started to come a little bit more. It turned a little bit more where it was like,
Yes.
this guy's willing to do anything. This
I also
guy
wonder,
is
could it have been
capable.
worse, the first cut,
I think it could have been.
and
way
maybe
fucking
they
worse. I was expecting
softened it a
worse.
little bit. I was
But that's
expecting
also
worse.
I was
smart.
expecting
It's-
worse, too.
Honestly, it's
I was.
smart. Honestly, if you're again this whole Vince McMahon puppet master shit, He comes out and he says what before this airs?
Oh, he actually.
This is the fucking.
He actually tweets.
Yeah, this is the. It buries
haven't heard
me.
from Vin in months.
I'm gonna sue them. Whatever. He comes out. He really raises. He jacks up the expectation that this is gonna be a fucking
It just makes people want to watch it even more.
I don't think he
Makes
said he was
him
going to sue them, but he said, "I hope you watch this with an open mind because this paints me in a bad way." And
It does.
Even if he feels that way, right? When you watch it, you're like, meh, doesn't really like.
What do you mean, Matt? What is the ending there? Like the end conversation is that he's a fucking sexophant or a fucking sycophant.
I mean, they showed
Like
the
ending
documents. They show you the
the
documents.
ending.
Everything's the truth. Everything's
But
the fact.
that's what
and
that's
it's
what you
both
leave
sides.
with.
It's both sides.
You leave with that impression. You leave with that lasting.
That's
It's
That's
even worse
word.
now.
a
with all
reflection
the
of
things that
reality,
came to
though.
light. Is it wrong? You know what I mean?
It's the truth.
Well, I'm saying it's a negative documentary. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if he lived a negative life, you know what I mean?
He had a lot of controversy.
I
and a
think
lot of,
if he
a
was
lot
a
of
good
people on
person,
that
he would have a good
documentary.
documentary.
A lot of people on that documentary said he was a father to me.
yes.
Yeah,
He was a father figure.
it was equal
There was
parts.
a lot of people who said I would do anything for him, and
You don't reach that level
I don't
of
even
success
think
without
even
skeletons
with
in your
whatever's
closet,
going
which is-
on, they would. I don't. They're in a tough spot because they want to continue to get paid, but I
Rat
don't
him
think
out?
they're gonna fucking yeah, right. I don't think they're gonna peel back to because they even reference it a few times. You're not gonna see the full circus. You're not gonna get the whole thing. We can't tell you what really went on. I'm sorry, Atlas.
Tony
Atlas really was
was
the
one of
only
the
one
better-
who
He was.
came out and said like we were fucking deviant, like crazy men. If we told you everything, it would shatter the image of everything you think about us.
and it's funny to see
So I
people's
think there's
reaction
just
to
so
him.
much more
100%.
that you could go.
People were reacting to what he said, like, "I can't believe he said this. He looks like he's proud." I'm like, he doesn't. He seems like he's somebody that's admitting that he's done something wrong.
Tony
What
Atlas?
else do you want? Yeah, I think that was
I love Tony
an
Atlas.
admirable thing that he said. I'm not saying it was admirable that they abused women, but that he admitted to it openly and wasn't trying to make excuses.
Well, there's ring rats.
It's very easy
Yeah.
to
That's what
look
you call
back.
them, ring rats. I mean,
It's very.
They were raking him through the coals for
listen,
saying that.
if you're that fucking gullible and you're that stupid, you deserve to be fucking stupid.
Well-
All you got to do is just listen to one Ric Flair promo, and you'll know all you need to know about what
People
wrestlers did
look
to
back-
women in that era.
People look back
All you
with
need to
rose-colored glasses
Sure.
as if it was always this thing, but to build the thing and to be on the road and all these people, men, women,
Think rock stars didn't take
Throwing
advantage
themse-
of women? Like, come
throwing
on.
themselves.
Judge Mick
Absolutely.
Jagger
It's
and
human
fucking
nature in a sense. This person's
Gene
God to
Simmons.
you, or this.
I mean, no one gets
I'm
on
not-
Stone Cold. We all love him, but he beat the shit out of Deborah.
I'm sure
He's had multiple
he's not married anymore.
multiple
That's for
wives
sure.
where he's
Yeah, he's married.
kicked the piss out of them.
not to her. Not to her.
He's married again. I thought he was single.
Well, we looked the other way for Stone Cold.
Did you love him? Right.
It's just
Well,
like
human nature. Again, there are no fucking heroes. As I get older and as you learn in
there's a
life,
few.
it's very difficult to find heroes
Bret the Hitman Hart.
who haven't
Cheat on
done
his
something you could
Fuck
judge
Shawn
them
Michaels.
about. But human nature is human nature.
Seen his wife? I cheat on her
Human
too.
nature's whether you idolize somebody and you would give your body or whatever love to them, and they might take advantage of it because they're on the road. I'm not condoning or saying it's just human nature. Human nature is kind of fucking weird. It's
No
not,
pain
It's
and-
not
and
black
substance
and white.
abuse.
People turn it into a court case and it becomes black and white. And it becomes very easy to judge. Like, oh, I can't believe, and you're like,
Yeah.
listen, you weren't fucking there.
Yeah.
You weren't there. You just
Oh, yeah.
can't know or understand what it was like.
You're talking about like guys who were on heavy duty drugs, heavy duty steroids, working 325 days a week, away from their families, on the road. They had every drug paraphernalia, liquor, whatever they wanted, full access to like everything. You're just talking about a different time as well,
Oh, yeah.
where there wasn't social media and cell phone cameras and all these things to kind of
You had to find ways to entertain
Gotcha.
yourself.
you could. It's the Wild West, man. You could kind of go and do what you want.
Man, who's the big booty daddy?
Yeah.
I
All
do
your
want to
favorite
correct
rock
from
stars.
the dungeon. He said Tony Atlas loves feet. That's not Tony Atlas. That's the other guy.
No, that's Tony Allen. He's
Is
right.
it? Who's the guy who died recently that was making all those?
Virgil?
Was it Virgil?
No, Tony
I thought that was
Atlas
Virgil.
definitely loves feet.
rest in Pete.
that him?
Rest in
The
peace,
foot
Pete
fetish.
Rose. Also,
Pete Rose, yeah.
Dungeon Team. But
And
Pete
John
Rose,
Amos from
as much as
Good
you said, Pete
Times.
Rose is a hero. He did admit to having an underage girlfriend back in the day. Just saying.
Oh,
That's why. That's actually why he got fired from Fox and was even more not going to make it into the Hall of Fame when he was alive.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, he admitted to having underage.
Never mind. I was about to wax poetic about Pete Rose.
Sorry, guys. It's just the
Kane
truth. It's just the facts.
Giving him. I mean, it was very entertaining when Kane would just. I was like, why does Kane hate Pete Rose? Like that was a running thread.
That's Pete Rose. That's Pete Rose.
Yeah, it was a good
we
documentary.
lost a bunch of people. We lost James Earl Jones.
Back to
Oh,
back.
I don't
We
want to
lost
start
James.
talking
lost,
about the dead people.
John
Coming to
Amos.
America.
It's
Yeah,
getting
John
all
Amos.
depressing now. I want to talk about the dead people.
Yeah, but they, they deserve their moment in the sun for the last
This ain't
hurrah.
This ain't the
So,
sun.
on the wrestling kick though,
Yeah.
Darth Vader. Oh.
Would VD.
what was the net? I know there
Well,
was
so,
one other.
Yeah, I did want to say just I think one of the biggest things that I took away from this was Shane. His piece in all of this, and it's interesting because Shane has been, rumored lately. It's the big hype right now that he might be coming to AEW. There was a photo of him snapped with Tony Khan. Then there was another photo
Young
snapped
Bucks.
with him and the Young Bucks this week. And I hope he doesn't because I really don't want him to go there. I'd rather see him in WWE. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like after the documentary, I'm like, why wouldn't he do it? You know what I mean? Like if he's
It'll
not
be
gonna,
a big fuck you to Triple H and Stephanie.
yeah,
Kind of feels like you might want to do that.
It'll be a big fuck you to Triple H and Stephanie, and a big fuck you to anyone who wronged his dad.
But if he wants to come back and they're saying no, we don't want you back. I still don't want him to go to AEW, but I almost
It'll be a weird dynamic. It'll be like if
really
Vince
weird.
McMahon went to WCW. Like it's just
Yeah.
I think
weird.
honestly, it brings up enough. I think there's enough distance between the eras where it would bring an interesting, compelling factor to the world of wrestling. If I was
it
to
would
be
make
honest.
AEW interesting, but I worry
Yeah,
because AEW has this thing where like they'll bring people
Also,
in and then it doesn't matter
everybody
2 weeks later.
needs competition. This WWE, I'm just saying.
They had it. They were on the path to kind of get to the point where they at some point could be competitive, and then they just made too many big mistakes.
Yeah.
Tony Khan's mouth and the things that he would say, the outlandish fucking things, and
That's
And the
why
stupid
you-
shit they would do on
Pepsi,
TV.
and they're like this, and what did he call them? Like he said they're like pedophile.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. It's just at the point where it's like
That's true. Tony
you
Khan
you
is-
can't run a business and expect a business to kind of like be looked at a certain light when you're
Be
constantly
taken seriously if you're making a joke out of yourself.
joke out of yourself, but also like he's a mark. He's a mark with like wrestling figures, and he's making matches with his money. That's all he is.
Which I mean,
You
hey,
might need a voice to help figure out.
If Shane McMahon can be a partner or
Creative
what is? I mean,
director.
they're going to bring him in as an on-air personality. Is he going to be someone who's going to influence the product and influence like
give him his
the
own
direction and things like that, or is he just gonna? They're just going to use it to spite like WWF or WWE.
I just
Hey,
don't
look,
want
we
them to
have
bring him in,
Shane
and then
I get
it
And
just
then
ends up being
nothing.
shit.
There's
You
a
know,
way to do
that's
it.
what
A
I
way
don't
not to.
want.
That's what I see. That's what I see.
That's what
happening.
I'm worried about.
Maybe they'll unveil him for like the big HBO Max debut, and
Which
it'll-
is what you were alluding to. That's the big news is that they got to
sorry,
deal with.
it's Max.
It's
Yes,
Max.
Max.
No, it's
no longer
fucking
HBO.
HBO.
There's
Go fuck
HBO,
yourselves.
and then there's Max, and HBO's still good, and Max sucks. Everything about Max sucks.
Yeah.
The audio is terrible on that app.
Why
I
are you
have to put The
deleting-
Sopranos at like 75 on my fucking TV because it can't.
Yeah,
hear
it's-
shit.
it's-
But
Why
it's
are
not.
you
It's not just.
deleting-
It's terrible.
Cartoon Network. Why is Cartoon Network disappearing?
Oh really?
Yeah, bro. They're fucking like removing.
Yeah, they got rid of that a
cartoons
while
constantly.
ago.
They got rid of the website, and now they're getting rid of shows on the fucking platform. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Hate them.
Yeah, so the deal is, I don't even know, I'm going to butcher it, but I know that they have Dynamite and I guess Collision are going to remain on TNT or TNN or whatever they're on right now,
And
TBS.
now they can say fuck.
TNN.
Right? Now everybody can
Nice.
say.
I don't
shit
know. They
and
didn't
fuck.
say that actually, because it's still going to be on TV, but it's also going to stream on Max apparently, and then they're going to do pay-per-views also on Max, but it'll be discounted. But
sounds
the
like
model
Max.
that they have right now, where you're paying $50 for a pay-per-view, like, is not conducive to a strong
does that shit
fandom.
anymore.
I'm not paying. When I paid $50 for that exploding barbed wire deathmatch pay-per-view and it was crap, I said I'm never spending $50 to watch a 2-hour show.
I think I
again.
bought
What's
2
it again?
AEW
Exploding?
pay-per-views, and that was one of them.
Yeah,
For $50.
it's a lot. It's a lot of money
when
nowadays.
we started this show, Joe was pretty pro AEW.
Yes.
It was a pro Joe
Well,
AEW.
you know what? A lot of people were. There was a lot of goodwill from fans because people were
I mean, we've
excited
been on
to have
for
a
almost 3
competitive.
years now, so I mean,
I
We are
we've
coming
seen-
up on the anniversary.
Listen, somebody from the WWE is watching us.
Yeah.
maybe.
They shortened
John
Raw.
Laurinaitis,
How long have
maybe.
we been saying they got to shorten Raw? We've had that debate for the
That's
whole
temporary,
fucking time
though.
of the show.
That's temporary.
That's a test. That's a test to make sure it works.
Well, no, it's because they made a special arrangement with the USA Network to continue airing Raw because the deal with Netflix starts in January, but it expired with USA fucking like a month ago. So pretty much USA agreed to extend Raw, and now they're going to extend SmackDown to 3 hours, and they're going to put Raw at 2 hours for now.
I guess that makes more sense because at least on a Friday night you could watch it for fucking. We could have it on right
I
now.
don't want to watch 3 hours of wrestling.
It's so stupid. You want to distill it down.
I'm okay
to
with it.
that.
I
The
ignore
only
it
way
most of the
3
time.
hours of wrestling is entertaining is for a pay-per-view because you have both rosters there. There's not enough good talent on one roster to entertain me for 3 hours. It's
It's
just
a
not.
sin.
It's not.
Oh, speaking of wrestling, I forgot to bring this up. I'm going to be working the big event in New York, November 9th.
Where
It's at the Brentwood College, the whatchamacallit,
Hobart College.
the
Hobart.
Suffolk Community College in Brentwood. And humble brag, but Teal Piper actually followed me back on Instagram and shot me a DM. And I told her
Teal
I'll be
Piper is the daughter of
the daughter
Rowdy
of Roddy
Piper.
Piper.
Wow. Oh, that's
So,
fucking
She's
really
a wrestler
cool.
as well.
Yeah, so she might be going to that convention, so I might meet her in November.
That'd be
That's
awesome.
really cool.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's awesome.
Get her on the podcast.
I mean, get a little,
Are we going to get a guest for our 3-year show?
I mean, we got people lined up. We just got to fucking reach
Tell me,
out.
yeah, but we got to have the interview
Help.
before the show.
Yeah.
We can't do it live on the show.
Back to the topic of AEW, from the Dungeon made a good point. He said they can't break 700,000 viewers, which is like around what their max viewership is right now.
For Dynamite, yeah.
Their viewership is going down, so this deal,
Well,
I'm
NXT
curious.
NXT is
It-
doing
you
better
know
than
what?
they are now.
Didn't
Yeah.
even think about this. It makes perfect sense because you know what Max actually is? It's actually Warner, Time Warner,
And it's
AOL,
failing in a bunch
and
of
it goes
series
back
of
to the
mistakes.
WCW years.
WCW.
It goes back all the way to back to Ted Turner.
Or I'll tell you what.
They
that,
got bought
that
out.
was Tony Khan's idea.
The
Is,
merger.
we're going to get wrestling back on Turner
now
again.
now they've now Time Warner Max has reinvested in the competitor to WWE.
Yeah.
Go fucking figure. A product they didn't want. They fucking
Sold it to them.
they sold it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
And they had to buy it back for, I don't even want to know how much AEW.
Billions.
What a lifeline for Tony Khan to get like, what, $250 million fucking dollars out of that? That just extended AEW for 5
They're
more
saying it was
years.
150. Well, he's already a
I
billionaire.
know, his
that
daddy's
has
a billionaire. First
yeah,
of fucking
he's
all.
got
Let's
unlimited
fucking calm
funds
down about
regardless.
Who's a billionaire?
But are they
Daddy's a billionaire.
sure?
Owns the fucking Carolina Panthers and sucks at that too.
Jaguars.
Yes.
Oh, the
He's
Jaguars.
got
Sorry,
he's
The
got
fucking
an unlimited bank to support his addiction to having a wrestling show.
Everybody's got a price.
So it's like
Here comes
it's like
the money.
It's like the bin of Rob's
Everybody's
toys over
gonna
there.
pay.
But reality.
Well, and it
That
looks
must be
good for the
fun.
company that they secured this deal, but is the viewership going to go up or is it going to continue to go down? Because then, like, isn't that
Oh,
kind of
watching it.
dumb?
You know, I just had a thought. Imagine how
Nothing.
fucked up
You'd
it would
have to
be
bring Shane McMahon.
if my
in.
house became
Right.
like the Indian in the cupboard and all the toys came alive. How many powerful beings would come to
The
life?
whole neighborhood would burn down.
It would-
It would
the,
just
wor-
be-
the fucking
yeah, you
galaxy
might
would be
have
over.
the East Coast.
I mean,
be
not
out
for
of-
nothing. I got fucking Galactus in that thing by itself. you
It's
know,
a Stay
Jesus
Puft
Christ.
Marshmallow Man.
I got a few of them too. Yeah. And, but then the
That
Ghostbusters
was the only
come to
part
life
about
too.
the
so
Ghostbusters new movie.
for all the
Which made me
villains I
laugh
got
every
the
time.
heroes that stopped them too. So it'll be a nice fight.
The thing
Be
just
fun to
came
watch
alive
it.
right here. Indian in the Cupboard. That's a movie. Don't hear a lot about it anymore.
Love that
It
movie.
was such a big movie back then.
Come on, we had a dinosaur fighting Darth Vader in that movie.
It's true. Yeah.
Don't forget about
Huge
that shit.
That's when they allowed the crossovers. They allowed you to do the fighting. It wasn't as big a deal. You think we'll ever get Marvel DC crossover movies?
Why?
I think that'll happen.
Why?
Why is a good question. Why anything? But
Justice League
happen.
versus the.
I
fucking Avengers.
actually, as a kid, liked DC more than I did Marvel.
DC was always the darker, cooler, fucking more badass.
I
And
just
bloody.
love Batman and
But
Superman.
X-Men was always like
X-Men was strong.
I didn't care about Iron Man. I didn't care about Captain America. I didn't care. Hulk, X-Men, Wolverine.
Spider-Man.
All I gave a fuck about. Those were like the mainstays back then.
Punisher.
Even as a little kid, I was like a big Ghost Rider.
Spider-Man. Sorry, can't ignore Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, X-Men, like those were the shows. I remember the Fantastic Four show too.
Spider-Man.
I do remember watching that.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield,
all those who chose to oppose his shield must yield. When he's led to a fight and a duel is due, then the red and the white and the blue
will come through when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Cross the rainbow bridge from Asgard, where the booming heavens roar. You'll behold in breathless wonder the god of thunder, mighty Thor.
Fantastic.
See?
I don't know where we go from here.
That's it. The body.
Lost track.
We go from here to Bad Blood tomorrow night, Chris. Are you excited for the... we got some big rumors tomorrow night. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has been spotted in Hotlanta, and so has Brock Lesnar.
Curious if they're going to bring him back with, this case going on right now. I mean, they never name him explicitly, and I wonder, is there a reason? Is it because they really don't have substantial proof to
What is it that you
he's-
think he did, and what is it that he's accused of doing?
I don't know shit. I know that they apparently allude to the fact that a former UFC champion, which would be Brock, I don't know, I guess asked for, or Janelle Grant, the Vince McMahon accuser, had to send him a video of her pissing, and then he just replied stupid bitch, and then never replied. I don't know. I don't really.
So Vince requested for her to send Brock stuff out of the request,
and he was
Brock.
apparently saying that Brock would only re-sign with them if he had videos of her pissing or something. I don't really know, but I don't know exactly what the accusation was, but apparently
If Brock didn't ask for it, then that's not really his fucking fault.
Right. I don't know how much they could really prove, but you know how it is once they say it, now it's Brock Lesnar's a rapist, and there's no real way to...
Just like
People are
golden
so
showers.
quick to jump on the bandwagon of, how many people can we topple? I think it comes down to an eat the rich kind of thing too. I think people are fed up with not being able to afford anything, and if they can take down as many rich and powerful people as they can. I think that's
There's definitely truth to that.
I think that's where it all comes from, really, because
Definitely
it's like,
truth to
I
that.
hate somebody that has more and has done better than me. And
It's
like,
tough to
if
say,
I
though,
can,
because
if I
it
can
might be
destroy
true.
Very
them,
true.
then it makes me feel more powerful,
very
even
true.
though I'm nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that's that whole culture. It's like,
Yeah,
well, it's giving power to the powerless. It's the court of public opinion, and that's all that matters
100%.
today.
Well, if you could take away from somebody else, it makes you feel like you've got more,
Exactly.
for some people. But
If
I know
I
that
can't have what you have, then neither can you.
there is a story I remember of Brock whipping out his dick in front of Terry Runnels or something like that.
Terry Reynolds?
Ric Flair
Terry
fucking
Runnels,
helicopter.
way back in the day.
And don't get started about fucking Pat Patterson.
So let's go there. We kind of glossed over the Pat Patterson thing.
He was a big fucking problem.
Everyone
not
said
necessarily. That's something that they talk about in the documentary. There's
Tony Atlas says he grabs his pecker.
Yeah, well, it's funny because then there's other people that were Jim Cornette was talking
Well,
about.
even
He's like,
that
oh,
guy,
shit like
didn't
that
they
always happened
sign
in
that
locker
one
rooms.
guy that was going to be the voice of the fucking WWE? There was a very famous interview where he did it and he called Vince out in his face, and he's like, "You guys signed me for a 2-year deal." And then I wouldn't sleep with your executive,
Mike
and then all of a
Adelman?
sudden I was fired. And he said, "I have a letter that you sent to my landlord, say, because back then you had to show, a letter from your employer showing that you're going to have steady income, otherwise you can't rent property." And it said he's a hard worker and has a solid place with the WWF for the next 2 years.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw this whole thing, and Vince McMahon is just like he doesn't even know what to say. And this is back in the 80s. This was early.
Well, I don't
Or
know.
maybe
I think
early 90s.
They didn't talk about that in this thing. They did talk
This
about
was wild.
Mel Phillips.
I was watching this whole thing, and I'm like, how the fuck did this not bury him? But then this was the height of the popularity of the product, so.
Well,
golden age, if you
there's
will.
a few things. There was a referee that he apparently raped.
First lady referee.
First lady referee that she claims he raped her. We're talking about Vince right now. And then I guess the case, I don't remember if they just settled or if it was thrown out or what exactly.
The Ashley Massaro thing still fucking bothers me.
Well, they had a response to that. They were like, we were never made aware. If we were made aware.
That's bullshit. She was drugged by somebody posing to be a military doctor.
Right.
And Vince literally told her, don't say anything because he didn't want to ruin the relationship between the WWE and the military. And they,
how does
tried
that make
to force her to stay quiet about it.
That makes sense.
And she ended up killing herself. So clearly it wasn't fake.
That makes a lot of sense.
It doesn't. That's
the guy
not
was
proof.
So yes, there was, because they ended up doing an investigation, and the guy that was
the
doing this shit
ultimate
got caught.
cover up to anything is
I never
money.
read that part.
You fuck up, you
I
do
read
something
into it
really bad.
recently.
Here's money, go away, shut it up.
Because
It
I met
doesn't-
her, she was very nice.
It doesn't shut it up forever.
Oh.
Especially when there's, the victims are gone, but the people who knew those victims and the family of those victims, they're still here. So that stuff doesn't ever fully go away.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's tough, because there's also the court of public opinion, and then there's proving something in a courtroom. You can
That
say...
doesn't mean shit either.
No, there's a lot of people that walk away free for doing horrible things.
Courtrooms is the
There's
most
more
crooked
than
fucking
enough-
place you can possibly
Just
be.
this.
There's nothing more crooked than a fucking courtroom full of defense lawyers trying to get fucking criminals and killers off the fucking stand.
Well, enough money will get you at anything.
Do I want to remind you about O.J. Simpson again?
They first of
glove
all,
didn't fit.
there's enough circumstance surrounding just this podcast alone should show you all the things we've had to talk about, uncomfortable things. There's a lot that has surrounded this entity, so it doesn't strike me as hard
Entity
to,
like WWE?
yeah, doesn't strike me that something like this with her would be that far-fetched or hard to believe.
There's a lot of precedent
And when
of
you're
things
talking
being
about
brought
rape
forward.
in the military, you could pretend that everyone's a
Oh,
good
that happens a
flute
lot.
fucking tootin' motherfucker,
lot.
and there is nothing I can.
Women
I
being
wouldn't so
raped
I,
left
I would
and right in
support
military.
them no matter what. But you can't tell me that it's not happening, never happened, or doesn't happen. It's bullshit, and that's a lie.
Absolutely.
So don't lie to yourself and pretend that you could wrap yourself in the fucking flag over this and say they're fucking perfect. That shit could happen. They're overseas in a different universe. That's the most fucked up thing for people's psyches to begin with, and the things they're capable of when they're trained to do what they have to do makes them not act right. Let's just say that. So when you insert one woman in fucking 10,000 miles,
We
who's a
love you long
superstar,
time.
things are gonna go sideways. So I don't think there should be any denial about what's possible and what could have happened there.
Well, that's the thing of what's possible. There's anything is possible, but there's also
Again.
several instances where there's an accusation made. Vince McMahon made us do steroids, and then it turns out they couldn't prove it, and actually they could prove that it was not true.
Rape's one of
and
the
then-
most embarrassing things to happen to like a woman. Why would they even bother? Why would they lie?
Let me just touch base on
Why lie
the
about that? I
steroid
don't
scandal
understand.
to begin with. They would insinuate in so many words for someone to say, you should build up your chest a little bit more. You should get a little bit, we need to make it your shoulders a
You
little
look like
wider.
shit,
You
pal.
need a little bit more upper chest here.
Right. What do you mean?
How do you get that? You just get that by eating and working out? No. So, I mean, they specifically told that to Lanny Poffo during an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event where they're like, we'd like to put you on a match with Hulk Hogan, but we feel like you need to fill out a little bit more.
In like a week or two.
Okay, he went on steroids. No shit. Like, they didn't say, hey, we need you to take some steroids so you can go out. They're like, hey, you need to fill out more, your physique. Like, they basically would body shame you and let you know that, hey, you're not big enough. We need you to do this, blah, 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 blah.
We need you to have open availability. We won't schedule against it, but we need
exactly.
you to have it.
You know,
Seven-
Vince,
seven
big meaty
full
mid
days.
slapping meat.
So you want to talk about coercion
Yeah.
and making you do things that you don't want to fucking do, or through the power of like whatever
Gaslighting,
suggestions.
100%.
Come on now, we all have experienced some form of it. So
Coercion.
just don't play. I don't like. Here's the thing. I don't like people playing innocent and stupid. That's when I start to get like,
Right.
come on now. Why are we playing stupid?
Come on
here?
now, Cletus. Come
Let's
on.
go. We know what this
Come
is.
on, Cletus.
Why are they even?
I tossed this
why are they
knife
even?
between the track of your ass.
How did it? Now I'm forgetting. How did it all get started with the steroid thing? And how did they get the attention of the DOJ?
It
Oh,
started
it's the
because the
doctor.
doctor was being investigated, and then
He
Linda
ratted-
apparently got word, and then WWE cut ties with the guy. But then after that, I guess when they came down on him, they
Too small.
unraveled a bunch of his clients, and then it kind of just went from there.
It also didn't help that he started a bodybuilding federation during the midst of the scandal.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
He started it and then folded it like.
I've always
soon
been.
after.
He's definitely got a. I don't know what you want to call that. I don't.
He has a fetish for muscular men.
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
go ahead and
yeah,
say that.
homoerotic
Yes, he
thing
does.
for because he
pro-
says it.
yeah.
Well, I
He's
still
like,
laugh
I set
about
this
the
thing for
big
physiques
E
and
guy,
muscles, and you're
'cause,
like, all right, you know,
big meaty men
that's
slapping
interesting.
meat.
So,
Funny as shit. that interview always fucking
Scott
kills
Steiner?
me. No. That was Big E with
so
what's his name?
I'm kind of reflecting in the moment, but just thinking about where the WWE is about to go, and the path that it's taking, and now Cody Rhodes and The Rock potentially.
Tomorrow's
coming
a big
back.
show. Tomorrow's a very big.
It's
a
It's
pivotal show.
good to have to
Pivotal help.
disconnect from Vince McMahon.
Tomorrow will build
It's-
towards
it's-
Survivor Series.
The things that
Think
we've
we get
had
a
to
Randy Orton heel
discuss.
turn?
Probably not now, but yeah.
I think the things that we've had to discuss as uncomfortable or awkward as they could get because of the life that Vince McMahon led. Now the thing itself that we actually love, and I think you guys love more than Vince McMahon, is the product and what could the potential of the product to hopefully go in a direction that is as exciting or can at least reach some heights of.
They've made a lot of progress and developments. I mean, they touched upon it with even with the CTE thing, and they ask him, "Do you think that they did this because they care or because it's good for business?" And he says, "It's kind of both, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If doing something that's right also helps elevate your business, then it's a win-win. Why not do it?" So, they've made a lot of
Spoken
progress.
Like a true capitalist.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm still of
it
the
should be.
mindset though that the WWE as a whole has a lifespan of about 5 more years.
Really?
Well, like peak time for 5 years, because if you look at 5 years from now and you remove some of their bigger stars like Roman Reigns, John Cena, The Rock, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, all those guys will be in like late 40s, mid 40s, 50s, 60s. They're going to be done. They're going to be like phased out. Are you going to watch this generation that's out there now? The Carmelo Anthonys and the Braun Breakers, is that going to be enough for you to stay heavily invested in pro wrestling as we are now, as we have been for almost 3 years on
That's
this
assuming
podcast?
that
I think
nobody's
so.
coming up.
The
you know what I
answer
mean?
is no.
There was a time when everyone didn't take John Cena or Randy Orton
I
or
still
that
don't.
generation
I
seriously.
still
Well, you
don't.
take Randy Orton seriously.
I feel like
He's still not as good as like
Batista.
Macho Man, Randy Savage, Jake the Snake, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart.
that's known
It's
as
not. It's
the
not.
golden era.
He's a
It's
better
not.
wrestler than Hulk Hogan.
The Age
He
of
may not
Heroes.
be
It's
as
that's
big a
that
character.
is
I'm
known.
not going out of my
through
way to
history.
spend thousands of dollars to watch Randy Orton wrestle. He's not an attraction. He's not somebody that you're going to wait online for at Comic-Con and spend
Will-
$750 so he can sign your belt and sign your wrestling buddy.
But that's
You're
in
not
your
doing
mind.
that.
That's
in
in your
his.
mind.
I'm talking about him.
I'm
talking
talking
about
you.
he just went to fucking Comic-Con
But we're
and spent
old.
$600 on
But
Hulk
what I'm
Hogan's
saying is
autograph.
that
No.
But yes,
Hulk
so
Hogan
here's
We're
the
not
thing.
more
kids.
over as far as a character, but I'm saying as a physical wrestler.
That's the problem. They
Listen,
don't have
Randy
characters.
Orton's a more
They're all
physically-
generic. They all look the same.
Hear
They
me
all
out.
sound the same. They all wrestle the same.
Yeah, but
They're-
look at the generation
No.
before. You had Gorgeous George and all these people.
Wrestling sucked then. Who
I'm
cares
just
about
saying,
that?
Alright,
it
Joe.
took for
I
a
got a
long
question
fucking
for
time
Joe. I
until
got a
those
question
guys
for
came
Joe.
along.
Yeah, but now
So it was a
Joe,
unique
Joe,
thing that when
Joe.
the 80s came
Hear
along.
me out.
you
Hear
know
me
what I
out.
mean?
Hear me out.
Help.
Joe, who's your favorite baseball team?
the Mets.
So, my point, where did you learn about the Mets?
From my dad.
How long did your dad watch the Mets suck?
His whole life. Well, I mean, no, because he was alive for 69, and then he was alive in 86.
So
But you also
just
got to
saying.
consider that I was born in 82, so growing up as a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid, the Mets were the better team.
So I'm saying
In the 80s, the late 80s, the Yankees sucked
You-
until Derek Jeter put on a
Don't-
number 2 jersey.
Don't
Sorry.
Get I'm
All right.
I'm not even moving
All
to
right,
baseball.
well.
I'm not even going to sports
All
yet.
right, well.
I'm trying to tell you, some people love the things they love and they want to hand them down anyway, even if they suck. So the WWE will have life and legacy in the parents who bring their kids and the kids that have the moments and they watch the Austin dickheads and
I see
whoever.
your analogy.
You know what I'm saying?
I see your analogy.
So
but I'll
I
raise you
think
that
it'll
it's
live.
different than sports.
I think it'll live.
Because in sports, you're buying into a team,
Competitive.
the team's color, the team's legacy. In pro wrestling, you're buying onto the performer, the one singular performer that you love a lot, that you're a big fan of, that you want to pay a ticket to go see. I think wrestling will lose that in 5 to 8 years. Well, you will no longer have someone that like you're gonna want to like show your kid, like, yeah, I'm gonna take you to the matches to go see Tiffany Stratton. But like maybe, but it's not going to be the same thing that we experienced.
It depends on the quality of the
It's never going to reach Hulk Hogan,
still,
Stone Cold Steve Austin
you'll
heights.
Still
never.
So here's the thing that a lot of parents end up doing. These guys suck. Let me show you Randy Savage. And you're going to show, you know what I mean? I think that legacy
I think if you showed a kid nowadays a Randy Savage thing, they're not going to give a shit. They don't know who he is. Kids don't even know who fucking Hulk Hogan is anymore. They don't have this comparison. They don't have, Macho Man was better, so today it sucks. They don't have that. All they know is what they have today. And as far as they know, this might be to them. They might look at Randy Orton. Kids fucking love Randy Orton. They're doing the RKOs out of nowhere. That was a viral trend. Kids today don't have that thing to compare it to.
You wouldn't spend $700 to go see Randy Orton.
Right, but a kid might.
Some 12-year-old kid might.
He might be, larger in life in their mind because they don't have that frame of reference that we have because obviously it was better.
Right,
so I think they got 10 to 20
But you're
years.
missing the...
Who was the new star?
But in 5 to 10 years, like, where is that like shining star like that's going to hold the company up, that's going to be the face of the company, going to be the flag bearer, going to be the belt holder, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns?
We might not have even met him yet because all these guys are still in their prime. You have to realize that every generation there's going to be another wave.
But the wave that's coming up now,
because we've had shitty wrestling for fucking the last 15 years. It didn't only just recently in the last 2 years or so started getting interesting.
No, but no, it was still
when we
carried
started
by
this show, it
Cena
still
and
fucking
Batista
sucked.
and
And then they started bringing people in, and it was good.
Also, what are the legacy? Where are the legacy kids? Are there more younger, upcoming stars that are legacy? Because they love their legacy.
Right. Like family lineage, the next
everybody
second
loves-
generation, third generation. Soon these guys' kids are going to all start getting into the fucking business. And somebody's
there's enough
kids gonna show
Samoans
up.
out there.
I will
So
say
I
that
just
the
think-
product that's out there now has spawned like
Mediocre?
more newer audience members than probably the previous like 15 years did.
Yeah.
Because when we had like coworkers watching the show and they got into wrestling because of us, or some of our coworkers like Jackie loves Tiffany Stratton, and like that's her thing. Like she's she's obsessed with Tiffany Stratton. Goes to tickets. She went to Madison Square Garden to go see her and things like that. So
Makes my
something
point.
for
that's
everyone.
something brand new, and she didn't have any past experience with pro wrestling. She went back, watched some old NXT, watched some older stuff. So
If we didn't
and you
have,
guys
if
talking
we
about
didn't
it-
have the success of wrestling that we've had in the last 2 or 3 years, I would agree with you. But the fact that it's coming back again, and that
we hit
it always gets
just
these
the perfect
waves.
moment with the Cody Rhodes thing. We've
That's
been
what I'm saying.
along
Like
for
the
the
Cody
Rhodes
Rhodes
journey.
and like the big wave with that, bringing back the Rock. I mean, the changes.
Well, we
that are
had Stone
happening are
Cold back,
exciting.
too.
And the fact that we have the product in the care of somebody that understands the business on a level even Vince wouldn't understand, because Vince was the president. He was the legacy family that ran it. Triple H built his bones in the product. He's part of the product. He
I
is
had
the
to learn
product.
learn to eat shit and like it.
who's after him though?
Triple H.
They're gonna have
CM Punk.
kids and shit. You know what I mean? There's gonna
gonna
be
be involved.
legacy.
I don't know about
Who
that.
knows? Maybe down the line when Vince dies, they'll
NXT.
bring Shane in, and it could be
Shane's
other-
older than Triple H. They wouldn't bring him in.
You never know though.
Vince, all the shit in the 90s that
If
we were
shit's-
watching, Vince was in
If
his 50s
shit's really
and
hitting the
60s.
fan, you don't think they're gonna bring Shane in?
That's what Triple H
to
is
help?
now.
I think Braun Breaker looks like a guy who, over the next 5 years, is going to really come up. Like
I
heavy.
foresee him being like the next Brock
He's
Lesnar.
got to switch it up because the spirit.
I think that what he really needs is exactly what Brock Lesnar has.
He's actually a lot
He
smaller than
needs-
Brock,
He
though.
needs
he needs the fucking
Paul
master.
Heyman.
He needs
who's after Paul Heyman?
If
There's
Paul
a good
Heyman
question.
represented
There is no
him,
one after
I think he'll get a big push.
somebody will rise to the occasion.
My point, dude, is the iconic characters are going to be long gone in 5 years.
Age of Heroes.
How
So-
people felt
Can I
about
put it
Gorilla
this way
Monsoon
Will
instead?
there be
and all those
guys that are around that the kids will want to gravitate to and buy a ticket to? Yes, but you're missing out on like the whole like term icon. So if you look at like what we have on the table, what he's going to show off in his toy chest. These characters, how old is Captain America? 1940, 1930.
But he's fake. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
That's
like-
wrestling was still
Hold on. Let me just explain.
superhero shit back then.
But let me just explain. These characters, Marvel characters, Star Wars characters, all these characters were created decades ago. What's being made now that's going to be iconic in 30, 40, 50 years? The
It's
answer is
impossible.
nothing.
No, you got to put the fucking pizza in the oven
The
for
answer
fucking 10
is
years
nothing.
before it's any
Everything
good.
is regurgitated from past stuff that's already existing.
talked about the
There's
fear
no new wrestlers.
to
There's
be
no new
creative.
superheroes. There's no new, fucking exciting.
I think a big part of that is, I think, the problem with nostalgia. There is so much of a.
we are
of
the
a-
fucking nostalgia
I'm
podcast.
just saying that
Yeah,
though
that's
is
what-
that because of that need for nostalgia and that need to hang on to the things. I think that we're going through
So
such
we're-
an existential crisis with what's going
So
on
we
in the
we're
country and the
preventing
world
people from
that we
making new
mentally
shit.
want to go
Here's-
back to a time where we were fucking
I do
happy
have-
and things made sense.
That's us,
I do
though.
have an
It's not
example.
everyone else that's
I
younger
do have
than
an
us.
But do you
example
get what
that
I'm
gets
saying?
to
At least
Joe's
why
point.
there's no new
Larger than
iconic
life.
stuff like being
But
made.
it's our
That's not
generation
fair.
that's making
That's
this
not
shit.
fair.
When
You
we
can't-
when we were kids, we were getting movies like the Flintstones and shit like that because the people that were the adults that were making those fucking movies,
We're kids
that was
when-
their generation shit. So now when our generation is up to bat and our generation is making this shit, that's why you're seeing the shit that we were into. And you're going to start seeing Street Sharks and Biker Mice from Mars and all this fucking shit. The Captain Planet will probably come back.
AI
I'm
is
telling
gonna
you,
inject
all
a
this
whole
shit.
new-
But the problem is that, technology is like the bane and salvation of mankind because we thought that we'd have a future where we'd be able to enjoy the arts and the computers would handle the sciences, but now we're just still the cogs in the machine and the fucking robots are making the art. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Pulling
We're
my
living in
fucking
some
my
fucking
time
alternate
card here.
university.
It's not fair to compare the guys today to the guys of the 80s and even the early 90s because they're not able to play by the same rules. The guys in the 80s, people still believed wrestling was real. Hulk Hogan, a kid thought Hulk Hogan was Superman. They thought Macho
Innocence
Man
is
was
gone
Superman.
because of the internet.
People believed in it, and these guys were larger than life characters, and they were characters. They were like comic book characters. The guys today don't have that. They're not. They don't even have that possibility
small.
because people automatically know that wrestling is.
And they're not
fake.
even trying anymore because they did that whole documentary Behind the Curtain, which I kind of didn't agree with.
People don't want that anymore. Today's audience
No.
doesn't want that. They're a superhero shit.
I understand
They see
where-
through
I
that.
understand your point,
They
but-
have to be more based in reality and have these guys almost be more like actual athletes, even though they're.
I
wanna say they're not.
understand what your point is, but I think you're missing what I'm trying to convey.
I get what you're trying to say. You said it 3 times. I'm just saying
What
it's
I
not
understand is
possible.
this.
Like what? No, what I'm saying is there has been like a pause or a stop or a dead space for decades, talking like 40, 50, 60, 70 years, where we no longer have these new inventive iconic characters coming out. Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. These are all stuff that was made before we were born.
Because you need a lot of money
But
to get anything done nowadays.
Forget
and
about
people-
money. I'm talking
But
about.
you're also not a
Hold
kid
on,
and you don't
I'm-
have kids.
No,
so
you're
you don't know
missing.
what the
You're
characters
missing the
It's
are.
all
point.
based in
I'm
money.
talking about where are the creators? Where's that guy sitting in his basement thinking
already
up of
talked
the
about
next
this.
character?
They
The
don't
next-
have enough money to create anything because if they try and it comes
What
out
does money
shitty-
have to do with the fact
Because
that
if they try to make
Joe,
a fucking indie game
can
and
I-
it sucks, they're gonna get shit on,
Joe,
and it's
can I
gonna
tell
end
you-
up like
can
that
I tell you why?
PlayStation game.
Joe, can I tell you why? Fear. We've talked about this before. We talked
fear
about the
does
Hollywood
not
thing.
exist in this dojo.
Fear of the judgment and the
Yeah,
I don't want to offend people
No.
culture right now.
I don't buy it. I don't buy into that
And
shit
again,
at all.
it's not the
Nobody's not making something because they're worried about offending
Motherfucker,
somebody.
It's not the fucking creators. There are tons of creators out there. It's the people that elevate
Sure.
the creative to the level that it reaches your fucking eyeballs.
Which
dude.
is the point that I was making.
It's the executive level and the concentration of corporate fucking America where
Money.
there's like 4 pipelines for every form of fucking entertainment, and you can't somehow break through that. There's just a very, even with the availability of YouTube and all these things, they're never elevating or picking somebody out of that and saying, wow, this person's got talent. We need to bring their idea
yeah,
onto
they'll,
our
Well,
throttle,
the
they'll
death of
throttle our
creativity.
views
And-
instead
and-
of fucking
So my
raising
question
us.
to you would
or
be:
it gets acquired and fucking buried.
my question to you would be this: where's the guys?
Money is too important.
Forget about money. Like we're talking about Stan Lee, who had passion. We're talking about Eastman, who had passion creating Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, these are iconic things that have withstood the test of time. Where are these new people that are out there that are thinking up a new concept?
Let's be honest,
a new
Stan Lee, they were rewriting fucking already mythic characters that we already were from ancient Greece. They already
why is no one else doing that now?
Superman's a very generic character. That's
Okay, but
Stan Lee.
where is the next Superman? Where is the next person for this era, for this age,
Well, they're
for the
making
next
Invincible. They have all kinds of shit because that's
Right.
the common culture now.
But-
is that they want the counterculture superheroes. So now you get
Right,
the
now you
boys,
get the
and you get
boys.
Invincible, and you get this kind of shit. It's
what
all
else
the
is there?
it's the trend.
The Boys is finally something that did break the mold on like what would be offensive and not offensive.
Even with the
Even if it went
with the
overboard, bless
the Teen Titans when they made them like little mini characters, very big parody of everything. Everything's like
You're
a
still
parody of
missing
what
my
it was.
point. You're still not
I'm
understanding
hearing,
what I'm trying to say.
I'm hearing
Is the
what
chat
you're saying.
understand what I'm saying?
Giving,
Like,
I'm giving you. I understand.
you're giving me the why
There's-
behind why you're
yes.
not getting that.
And I'm also agreeing that the Age of Heroes, just like the Age of Heroes that we could talk about in ancient history, is impossible to replicate. There's just something.
what about, like,
The companies that own these characters are also extremely powerful. You have to realize
No,
there
well,
are creators that are creating these original characters, but these are like the indie comic book people that are in the artist alley at Comic-Con that you're walking past and not even stopping. There are people creating shit,
And you're
It's
saying
just
that
very
because
hard
of
for them
money,
to
because
find
of
the
political,
platform.
because of fear of cancel culture, they're not getting given the chance to elevate, break through,
do something that's
become
really
a
gonna-
mainstream like Captain America, Spider-Man, X-Men. Like,
How
they're out there is what you're saying. There's these characters out there that could be great, could be iconic, could last for decades, but because of money and politics and fear, they're not getting like brought to your attention. Is that what you're saying?
And exposure, because the curtain is no longer available to put in front of your eyes.
Okay,
Very
I can buy
challenging
that. I
to-
can buy that. What I don't.
There's no more like this is what we're showing you, but this is really what's happening. There's so much like attempts to even blur that line because now they've reached the era of let's talk shit on social media to each other, right? Like let's do
Yes.
videos where I'm talking smack as if like someone's just talking smack like they're in the school. They're trying to bring that in because you can't hide them anymore and present them like they're Superman and invincible. So you can't. It's harder to build them to a level where they are indestructible presentations of themselves. Now you have to see like the behind the scenes, like of Cody tearing his pec, and then what happened during that time. And they're not even just building Cody up to be Captain
So
America.
there's no more curtain. You're going right into the like room of like every.
It's
there's-
been shattered. Like
so
the
there's no-
dream.
there's
And those
no-
superheroes, you have to realize, were also
So,
created for propaganda for a lot
It's
of it.
why
too.
you can't I'm just saying it's why you can't replicate or.
So we're
redo it.
fucked.
We're
Well, no. What I mean, what you're saying
as,
is we.
as us as
fucked.
this generation of
The
what we
royal
perceive, yeah, we are fucked.
Game of Thrones came out in the last
They-
15 years. That's a
they-
new IP that is fucking
15
broken
years
the
now.
mold.
Well, that's been out for
Yeah.
fucking 25.
Well, the book-
We're talking
Well,
about TV
but,
show has been
you know,
out for 15
Yes,
years.
but the
got
concept,
popular.
the concept, the book. When did that come
the
out?
90s. It was like
the
92,
90s.
93.
It's not that.
Okay, but that was 40 years ago now. 35
but that
years
was
ago.
inspired by Lord of the Rings.
Even
so-
then, it
Still.
started as a book, and then
It's still decades ago. Like, what has come out in the last decade that's like, fuck, this is like brand new. It's not a concept or a rehash or a remake or a sequel or prequel of an existing IP.
Invincible
A lot
is
of
a
the
good
There's a
the
lot of
Pixar
them.
movies, I will say, are pretty original ideas.
Well, now we're.
They usually don't like overlap.
I'm thinking very much in the realm of wrestling still. I'm trying to keep it like, oh, the WWE and what is the legs on the W. I think the WWE has a 10 to 20 year just living off the legacy, even if you didn't get what you're talking about. But
in the next 5 years, here are several things that you could look forward to beyond. I think even beyond 5 years. All the guys right now, them retiring. So you take every guy's retirement, whether it be Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes' retirement, fucking Kevin Owens' retirement. Every one of these guys retiring, that's its own storyline in and of itself right there that we can look forward to. And that's 10 years out, even.
10 years out?
Cody Rhodes isn't going to retire for 10 years. I think we got at least another 10 years of Cody. So he's just one example. There's tons of guys. You have MJF. You have Braun Breaker. You have whatever other second generation
LA
guys
Knight's
are going to
pretty
pop
young.
up.
What the hell?
LA Knight's not young. He's like 40-something.
LA Knight still for the next 5 years, I think is going to be pretty hot.
I don't really
How
like
old was
He's
Taker
well
when
loved.
he
You don't
retired?
like him, but the fans do. And when you go to any wrestling show, everybody's saying, "Yeah, So he's becoming undeniable at this point. So you have every guy's retirement at the very least. Then you think about who's going to debut. There's going to be new guys that are going to show up. Who knows? Fucking maybe Mark Henry's son is going to be a fucking huge star.
He just got signed.
Well,
Mark Henry wasn't a huge star, so why would
the thing with wrestling is there's a constant, steady flow of new people coming in and people coming out. So that alone,
the machine keeps rolling. They just put new cogs on the wheel. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is like the impact that these guys are having is going to get lessened throughout the next 5 to 10 years.
But I will say this though. I think in the next 20, 30 years, we're still going to see people buying Austin 316 shirts and Hulk Hogan and shit.
I don't know. There's going to come a day where people forget.
What's old is new again.
I don't know. That's a long time.
I don't know, man.
You know what it makes me think of? Rock and roll. It's because my father's a rock and roll fan. So no one was going to be as big as the Beatles. Nobody was going to be as big as the Rolling Stones, period, end of sentence. It's just impossible to reach the heights that those bands, their creative journey, all that. And in part... Yeah, they're right. They're right. Over the course of 40 years, like rock and roll fucking died, more or less. Because it pretty much, most people kind of end it with Nirvana. But there was Prince, Michael Jackson, everybody in between. There's been like monster stars. So for all the people who looked back with nostalgia, think that there will never be another era of this or that, something always comes that's new and
Where
fresh.
is it now, though?
Hey, listen.
Taylor Swift?
Well, rock and roll?
I mean, you said
that's I said rock and roll.
It changes.
rock and roll.
Nirvana, I said Nirvana.
Rock
I
and
said
roll.
that with Nirvana. I didn't say
rock and roll's dead, but Nirvana was like grunge.
It's rock and roll. It's rock and roll.
Well, some people say that Nirvana killed rock and roll because grunge sucks. A lot of people think.
Yeah, well,
I like.
I kind of agree. I don't like Nirvana.
Really?
So there you go.
Not a big fan.
I think too. To your point earlier, Joe, we live in a time now where, again, what I was trying to say before. Somebody can create something and they'll get absolutely, like, their life will be ruined for trying something. Like, look at the Olympics breakdancer chick.
But that was ridiculous.
I know, but still, it's somebody tried. They did their best.
Right.
And they got fucking shit all over and, like, death threats.
True.
And, you know,
Death threats
you think
is
about,
like,
like,
why?
you think about video.
Fair, this person went to the fucking Olympics.
Okay, I know. Forget that example.
This is the Olympics.
All right, I don't want to get off topic.
The world is watching
Killed
this.
the idea.
I'm just trying to say,
Why
look
we
at
break
video
dance in the
games.
Olympics?
Look at video games. What was the game that just
Look
came
at
out?
the games you won't play. Yeah. Let's
Sure,
talk
okay,
about
what
that.
was the
Let's
game-
talk about all the fucking games Chris will never try or play.
Guys, I cannot make a point without you guys changing it to another fucking thing.
Oh, by the way, can I
stay
just
on
mention-
task.
Kena Bridge of Spirits.
What's the name of that game that just came out on PlayStation that was murdered like within 2 weeks?
Oh, the fucking...
What was that called?
Concord.
yeah.
That's just another example. They tried. I'm sure every person in that studio didn't think they were making a piece of shit. They tried
There
something.
wasn't there a story behind that?
There's
They
a
got
story
pushed to
behind
do
it. I'm
and
just
all that
saying,
shit?
look at how people react, though. When you put something forward that's not perfect, they will fucking, like, try to kill you.
But you also have to realize that they're paying hard-earned money that's hard to come by today because everything's so fucking expensive. And for them to pay full price for something and it's like shit, people are going to complain.
There's plenty of reason to be mad. I'm not saying that the
Do I think they should have shut down the
criticism
whole project
isn't-
and abandoned it completely? Probably not.
but that's the risk that you have now when you try something new is that, you know, if it's not well
Do
received.
we know what was wrong with it that they
In order to
stopped
make
it?
money, you need to spend money. Without any risk, there's no reward. So I don't want to hear that, oh, we don't want to take a risk. Like anybody who's ever made it is taking a risk. Vince McMahon took a risk by mortgaging his house to fucking fund WrestleMania 1. You have all these instances where, you know, these people were like, you know, had a couple $1,000, maybe $1 million, and then they became filthy rich. They took big risks. Even like someone like The Rock, who came in, you know, from Hawaii with $7 in his pocket, and he just hustled and hustled and hustled. And you know, it's the American story of like, you know, making it. But like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna sit and settle for someone making an excuse that, oh, we don't want to take a risk. Well, then you don't want to fucking make it.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, but the thing is, people are still taking risks, you know, and sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not. You know, there's a lot of cases where it doesn't, and then
More
it
often than not,
tanks.
it's not going to make it.
And you're talking about bankruptcy.
The
and a life
probability
being-
and the percentage that you make it is very low.
Yeah.
But the only way you're going to find out is if you try.
And everybody individually has like brands now. That's the difference before. Before you had to have a channel, like, you know, that's why they created things like American Idol and this shit and that shit, so that you can get yourself out there. But now you can like self-represent and like, you know, you can have a presence on social media and go viral. And
I think social media has ruined the entire industry of like icons. Like now people are looking at, oh, they have 2 million followers, so they're an influencer and they're now a celebrity and they're granted like access to go to the Yankee game, and because he fucking talks like, hey, TT from my own, I don't know, he gets to go to all these fucking baseball games, eat fucking Zeppelis at the fucking goddamn fucking feast of, you know that's what it social media has made these people like famous. Like there's not like famous people anymore.
Well, there's no.
I don't know.
Again,
You look
no
at
more
Ice Show
curtain.
Speed. He's
You
like the
could
second
build
coming of
up
Christ walking
before
around.
Tom Cruise came out as a Scientologist.
I'm just use him as an example. Like we can't go anywhere without a couple people like recognizing him, asking to take a picture, asking to whatever. Like
that's talent. You know, people are attracted to that shit.
Yes, but he didn't like. He wasn't on television. He wasn't like in any shows or movies. Like he
well, that's not fair. I was mentioned twice on Family Guy.
Yes, but you cosplayed your way into fame, and because people.
It's true because
he didn't even do it. He wasn't him.
It wasn't me.
It was
I didn't even
created.
post
But the
videos
fact that this is a thing these days, and you have these influencers like these females, they show their ass, they show their private parts, their bodies, and they're
that's
just
a whole
like
other thing.
and then they can live off
Hundreds of thousands of
I mean,
followers.
that's different.
and they just live off
You
of
know,
it.
let them. You know what?
Well,
I'm
there's
not saying
well,
I'm
I
not
think what
people
he's
are
saying-
paying.
no, you know
People
what
are
he's saying?
paying
Here's
for
what
it,
he's
you know?
saying. There's no more Pamela Anderson.
Right. Everyone's Pamela Anderson now.
Right.
Because they can
That's
show
what
you
he's saying.
whatever they
No,
want
but
to
you
show
know,
you.
that's the
pay,
thing is that
you
that's-
subscribe to my OnlyFans.
And
you can
again,
see
Joe,
whatever you
Joe,
want.
that was
Donate to me, tip me. I'll do whatever
But the
you
difference
want.
is that
It's
there was
bullshit.
always
There were
a million
kingmakers
Pamela
back then.
Andersons. We
It
only
was
just
like-
If
saw
you
one.
saw like an influencer on the street and then you
Hugh
saw like
Hefner was-
Pamela Anderson, like
Well, again,
what?
there were gatekeepers and there were kingmakers back then, and there's less of those now because the gatekeepers like Hugh Hefner.
You're the
and-
keymaster.
Yeah,
I feel like porn is like broken people's brains
they,
now. It's
and,
like
and it was something they created, like Hollywood created in the 40s. and
Marilyn
shit.
Monroe and all that.
Manufacturing
Stars.
what
why
people
jerk
were,
off to the fucking
exactly.
porn star that looks like
That-
the girl you
to
wanted to
your
fuck when
point.
she's actually on OnlyFans?
You can't
Like
have
faking the moon
That's like
landing,
the
dude.
culture today. It's like
you can't have Pamela Anderson in today's climate in a
Gotcha,
sense.
gotcha.
That's that
Gotcha.
and Hulk
I got it,
Hogan
I
goes
got
in
it.
the same league as
I
Pamela
understand.
Anderson.
Yep.
And because that
And the reason
veil
is
broken, the
is
veil has been torn down. There is no more. Privacy is dead, as dead gets.
well,
Privacy comes, you know, how much do you want to pay?
I think we hit a
avoid the
really
privacy.
I think we hit a really good like note today on like just
You guys want to play trivia?
yeah, let's do it. Let's break it up.
Some nostalgia trivia?
Yeah, let's do
oh,
it.
here we go.
How do we feel about this one? I feel like this is like easy. Top box office movies of a certain year.
All right.
Nostalgic years.
Okay.
And I'm trying to give you
like
guys
take a
ones that
guess
we
at
all
what was
kinda-
the top.
Yeah. I got top four. So I got the top four.
I love that.
I'll read it off.
Yeah.
For the year. All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
Top 4 box office movies 1986. What was the top one?
Back to the Future.
You want the 4? You want,
I mean, can I guess?
they're
I'm gonna
gonna
see if
guess
I
it
get it.
first.
That's-
I
that's
mean, if you
trivia.
want to
Isn't
guess
that
first,
trivia?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
It's
the point.
fucking-
Oh,
19 you said 1984,
that's why I asked
1986.
Chris
What
year
did
was
you
it.
say?
I said 86.
86.
So Back to the Future was 85, but
Okay.
I'll read them off. I feel like these guys need an assist. They weren't fucking alive yet. I wasn't alive.
he-
Let me get a
he let him
couple in
take a
there.
couple of guesses.
This
Uh,
isn't
uh,
Joe
uh,
trivia, you fuck.
Little shots in there.
It's probably is.
Somebody's
got
gotta
to
be.
You said 80s. It's my trivia.
Or I feel like we should be able to
Fuck,
come
86.
to consensus.
I wasn't even alive.
Take a
Not-
couple of shots.
Not Karate
86.
Kid. That's like 84.
When you hear it, you'll be like, ugh. That's
Porky's.
Is it Predator?
no.
Lethal Weapon.
Rambo 2.
No.
Rock.
We could do this all day. I have
Rocky
so many
3?
of these.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to rattle off the
In 1986 top box office.
1986 top 4 box office movies. I'm going to go. I'm not even going to read them in order. I'm going to let you guess. Platoon. Crocodile Dundee. The Karate Kid Part 2.
That was close.
So
That's a
and Top Gun.
Top Gun. Okay.
Top Gun's number one.
Sure.
Top Gun was the number
Top
one
Gun,
movie.
yeah, it makes sense.
$350 million in 1986.
Okay.
All right.
It's crazy that I remember seeing Karate Kid in the movies at 86. I'm fucking old. God damn it.
It's weird too when you go back further. It
I wasn't
starts to
even
get.
I wasn't even alive yet.
Do a. We going past 86?
I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go.
I
too
won't.
far.
1986.
I
It was
figured-
the Just Joe podcast.
So, what was the top box office movie of 1997?
Titanic.
Oh, Titanic. Yeah.
Ding,
Titanic,
ding, ding.
as good as it gets. Good Will Hunting.
It was
Jerry Maguire.
Titanic,
yeah.
The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Men in Black, and Tomorrow Never Dies.
Wow, I
Here
did call Men in
comes
Black,
Men
huh?
in Black.
Ah,
Gotta
see?
see you
I don't know what year anything
vengeance.
happens. Honestly, I'm the worst with this stuff.
That's why I didn't
I
want
like
to
trivia.
play.
I
If
love
you ask
trivia.
me what
That's
year
why
fucking anything
I
happened,
wanted to
I
at
don't
least
know.
give you guys the option to
All
debate.
right, we have any
about
more
what-
years that you want to spiel on
Oh,
now?
I got top 4 box office
All right,
movies.
here we go.
1996.
Oh,
Ooh, 96.
Space Jam. Welcome to this.
No,
I
That
mean,
was
That was
funny I had
98.
that earlier.
Batman Forever.
James and the Giant Peach.
No, 96.
96.
I don't know what the fuck happened. in
96 was a year
James,
for one
was
actor.
Indy in the Cup at 96?
Not the top box office movies. When you hear these, you're like, oh.
96.
Let me hear.
Was it Twister, Independence Day,
Okay.
Gotta be.
Welcome to Earth.
Mission Impossible,
Damn.
or The Rock?
Okay. What was the top one? Definitely Independence Day.
Gotta be Independence Day.
Independence Day is the number 1 movie in 1996.
What
The
else?
Rock is a great fucking movie.
Ding, 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 ding. I feel like we need sound effects or something for this because it's a little dry. This one goes back. This
Let me
one's
hear.
pretty deep.
Let me hear.
If I read the names, though, you're just going to know it.
Well, let me
So
hear the year.
It's such a clear 1983.
Return of the
Jedi. Yeah.
I had
E.T.
No.
No, that
E.T.
was
80
84.
Rocky 2.
82.
Also
That's
82.
right.
Rocky.
It was 82.
Oh, no, Rocky 3,
Rocky
82.
3?
So Rocky 2 was
No.
prior.
Okay.
But
83.
E.T. was the number 1 in 1982.
Okay.
But you were right. Return of the Jedi, that one was for Rob.
Yeah.
You guys win. I thought we would get into more discussion about the actual fucking like movies, but
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so many like years where you can just like rattle off like top 4. I'm like, wow, that was a great year. But it's also like I like also looking at like top box office, but I also like looking at like who won the NBA championship that year, who won the World Series,
that's boring. We all know
who was the
fucking-
top artist that year,
We all know who
what
won
was
the
the top
championship for,
song
like, 10
that
years.
year. Stuff like that.
Well,
you know
again,
what I mean?
the
Who
trivia
was the
thing,
Super
I
Bowl
have,
champion
I have
that
a
year?
list. I
It
have
puts you
a
back
list.
into a time where you remember like those like that year. You give you the full meal of that year as opposed to saying you said 97. The first thing I thought of was Titanic because I know that
was the fucking only
raked
thing that
in the
happened.
Oscars in 97. But
Everything, that
97
song,
you
Escape.
also you lost Biggie. You had the album that came out. You had Chicago Bulls. You had rap was kind of like moving into like this gangster East Coast, West Coast, vibe. You had the Monday Night Wars kickoff in 1997, the NWO, D-Generation X, the Montreal Screwjob. So, I mean, yeah.
You're a historian, though.
I am.
You're
I am a
you're
historian.
resident historian.
Fucking old.
I knew when I said I wrote it down in my
Fucking
notes. I was like
Maester
trivia,
Joe
and I
over
was like,
here.
this is pretty much Joe's fucking game because no one else is gonna know this shit.
How many chains would Joe have if he was a maester?
A Meister. I have some other good ones. I'll save them for another day. And they're not
Well,
box
now I
office
feel
related.
teased. Well,
It's an idea to germinate. I do like what you're saying about the year. It's like what are like 10 things in 1 year? Super Bowl champions, NBA champions, or sports
Joe's
champions
gonna
at all,
win.
World Series,
Yeah.
all the sports.
I already won all those.
Music.
Boxing, or fighting.
Video
Like
game.
where's that at?
video game.
Music.
That would
the
be a
movies.
fun one. Like 97
Games.
also. If you look at the top games in 97, you had GoldenEye, you had Ocarina of Time, you had like
Next time I'm
Metal
gonna
Gear
say.
Solid.
Next time I'm not gonna ask you to
Resident
name the
Evil
top
2.
one. I'm gonna say name me the top ones. And we'll see how many we can
yeah.
get.
We should do that for video games. Chris will actually have more fun with that.
We should actually just maybe
Chris
choose,
doesn't watch movies,
choose a
as
year
everyone
and
knows.
dissect it.
Takes him 17 years to watch a movie.
Yeah, I've never been.
I was
one
gonna
to just sit
do
and watch.
WWE champions, but I figured that was almost too easy. Like
I could just do it
I
for
couldn't
you
say
now.
the year, and you
I could
go,
just-
"Who's the WWE champion?"
I'll just
WW4?"
let me actually go. Let me actually do this for you. Ready? 84, Iron Sheik. 85, Hulk Hogan. 86, Hulk Hogan. 87, Hulk Hogan. 88, Andre the Giant. 88, Macho Man. 89, Hulk Hogan. 1990, Ultimate Warrior. 1991, Sergeant Slaughter. 1992, back to Hulk Hogan, then to Ric Flair, then to Bret Hart. 1993 to Yokozuna. 1994, back to Bret Hart, then to Bob Backlund, then to Diesel. 95 was Diesel, back to Bret Hart. And then 96, you had Shawn Michaels, back to Bret Hart, back to Psycho Sid in 97. And then 98, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's kind of where my mind goes. Bloop.
That's pretty fucking good, man.
The Rock.
So we'll be able to fuck with that one.
99,
We'll keep that one on
The
here.
Rock, it's Mick Foley, Triple H.
We said, top.
Here's a great question from the dungeon. Who was the worst football team, or who was the drizzling shits in the 90s?
The Jets?
Well,
I mean, the Cleveland Browns have been the drizzling shits for
They
like
had to
ever.
move. They had to
It's
fucking
ironic the
leave.
Browns never make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They had to
Not in my
leave.
house. Not in my house, they don't. They always make it to the Super Bowl.
Gosh, fucking every preseason.
Yeah.
Guys. You and the
The Lions have never had a
The Jets and the
championship
Bears
either.
are just the two. The Bears are an example of a team that fell off hard in the 90s. They were great in the 80s.
86.
Bears were dominant.
85.
Packers emerged in the 90s. They were shits.
Brett Favre.
Drizzling
Brett
shits.
Favre, boom. Brett Favre, boom.
Yeah, Brett Favre, boom is right.
Favre, boom. You know what? I watched a
Brett,
clip the other day where Bret Hart threw. Bret Hart. Jesus Christ. Bret Hart threw. Brett Favre threw 6 touchdown passes on Monday Night Football as a Jet.
When his
It was the Jets versus I think the Cardinals. Kurt Warner threw like 3 touchdowns, and Brett Favre just went ham and had like 6 touchdown passes.
You could do that.
But he had like Antonio Cromartie. He had fucking
He also threw 3
Santana
picks.
Moss. Yeah, of course he did, but still
I don't know how you throw 6 touchdowns and 3 picks, but he would fucking
slinging
do
it,
it.
man. He's a gunslinger, brother.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
He was. Yeah, he was.
Slinging it.
Poor guy. The Parkinson's thing got me. I know the fucking Mississippi thing is another example of your heroes disappointing you, but
That's a good topic.
I think that's another
Can
thing.
we-
is
can
that
we-
people are afraid of having heroes.
Can
mean,
we
even look
end
at the
that?
Dr. Disrespect shit.
Can we end that with this? Since we talked about Vince McMahon, who was one of Chris's heroes, and now Chris doesn't look at Vince in the same light after all those allegations.
Chris was
So,
a staunch
Vince McMahon. He was a
Staunch.
Vince
loyalist.
McMahon made the
Couldn't-
best.
He's a loyalist.
could not-
He provided me the most
Until
entertainment
that-
in my life.
Oh yeah.
until that most
now
recent
he's
thing.
completely
Couldn't move him.
180. So, in the vein of the conversations that we've had tonight, building new characters, giants falling from grace. Who was one person, celebrity, whoever, hero, sports figure, athlete, whatever, that you looked up to, idolized, or you liked, or you were a big fan of, and then after like some scandals and things, let you down? Who let you down the most?
That's a
You
good
have
one.
one choice.
Well,
That's a good one.
we already did
Mike
name
Tyson,
mine.
Michael Jackson, Vince McMahon. Like, give me like
Diddy.
not Pete. Well, no one's
doubt
gonna say
anyone
P Diddy
idolized
in this
Diddy.
room. Like,
Diddy.
he's not my top fucking choice. But Bill Cosby. Guys like this. O.J. Simpson, obviously.
All of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
Rob, do you have one in mind
Yeah, do you
off
have
the
one
top
off
of your
top?
head that kind of just like, man, I love this guy or girl, and now look, this is what they turned
If
out.
you need a
6
minute,
years later.
I can pull.
You got one?
I'll. Obviously, Vince McMahon
Okay.
is up there for me. I'm
He's
not
an
gonna-
honorable mention.
He's the honorable mention only because you mentioned him already. Because he provided me so much entertainment. Funny shit. I love wrestling. And that one was tough. But also that still needs to play out in court.
Okay.
You only got one side of that. He's probably wrong. I'm not trying to defend him at all. He doesn't need me to defend him. But you got to let this shit play out. We only saw what one side showed, which is the disgusting shit he was texting.
Sure.
But I don't know what led up to him
what does
feeling
she
comfortable
send him,
enough to
what
say
she
that.
send back to him?
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
you gotta say that. You gotta give them that. All right. So with all that said, though, my choice, I guess, because I can't think of anyone else right now. But you said it, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, that was a tough one for
He was
me.
America's dad at the time.
He's America's dad. I love the Cosby Show. That show, I would watch that shit all the time on Nick at Night when nothing else was on TV. Back in the day, kids, you used to just have to watch what was on TV. And at a certain point in the night, they didn't have shit for kids anymore on TV. So the next best thing you had was Nick at Night, which was kind of almost for old people.
Yeah, with all
And
the old sitcoms.
The Witch.
There was a bunch of other stuff on Nick
I
at
watched
Night
all that
before
shit.
the Cosby, but eventually Bill Cosby was like the home base of Nick at Night.
He was funny as fuck. You know,
It's a great show, and the Cosby Show. I mean, that's one of those sitcoms where like they teach you life lessons, and like, there's sometimes some episodes that make you a little sad. Even
a betrayal,
yes, man. I watched the Cosby Show. Funny guy. I always thought he was just like the goofy grandpa type of guy, and then to hear all that shit, and again, that played out in court. He was found guilty.
Sure.
So that is also where, like, there's no room for that anymore for me. Like, obviously you can't use that as the key indicator, but if something plays out in court and they're proven guilty, now they're proven guilty. They're convicted of this. So, yeah, Bill Cosby, that was a tough one, because now you can't watch the Cosby Show. It's weird. It's dead. It's like there's no going back to that and that wholesome,
that's a really good point.
somewhat wholesome feeling of like a family-friendly show when you know this shit. And then there's even episodes of that where they're showing where, he made the barbecue sauce and everybody starts wanting to fuck pretty much. And like it was all an innuendo to the fact that he was drugging people.
It's my special sauce.
Yeah, it's like you can't watch it with that same lens anymore. So
The jokes are hitting
hopefully
wrong.
I bought you guys enough time to think of somebody.
Ben, you have one?
And the Brett Favre ones it hits the nail on the head because, when I was growing up and the Packers beating the Patriots when I lived in Massachusetts, it was all time, and then to, first the thing with the woman on, the Jets massage thing, the physical trainer, and then the Mississippi, you like,
Right,
like
Favre?
dick
He
pics.
sent the pics. Okay, I
Those are
remember
the
that.
dick
Yeah, yeah,
pics.
yeah,
It was just embarrassing shit again, and then he got outed for aired out for that shit. and then the Mississippi welfare thing. It's just like constantly stepping in shit.
Can you explain that a little bit better? So I know he defrauded like the.
They were proposing building a fucking. He had lobbied to like basically have some funds moved over to
building a stadium for his daughter's
his daughter's school. So it was just like, it's not like the most improper. Again, it doesn't get to the level of Bill Cosby. It's not Bill Cosby.
Yeah, it's hard to do
I'm
that.
just saying,
different
like,
levels of impropriety.
someone who you looked up to and you built up as like a hero and a perfect. Oh, they got to be perfect. When his dad died, he went out and threw like 5 touchdowns on like again
Monday Night Football.
It was
yeah.
incredible. It was
Yep,
like
yep.
it was like tear-jerkingly great shit.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you're thinking,
Brett
like,
Favre,
these fucking they're perfect, and then the wall just kind of gets beat down over and over, and you're like, I feel, it's tough as a fan as being such a diehard fan of the Packers. Like, his legacy with Green Bay is what it is; it will never change. But there's just that little asterisk where you're like, damn, I wish that wasn't a thing. I wish they were just better and they could have lived up to the hype, which no one can, and it's unfair, and people are human, and I'm sure he's got 10,000 concussions, and he's not exactly Mr. fucking plotting against the government, so I'm sure it was just he had a friend who had a buddy, and they were like, hey, we're doing a little friendly thing here.
Done in
and it's
ignorance, not malice.
Right, exactly. That's how I look at that.
Yeah.
He was more or less, I wouldn't say taken advantage of, but his status, his name, it's being used, and these fuckers are, they know what they're doing. The politicians know what they're taking, know where the money's coming from. Brett's turning a blind eye, kind of playing dumb, but he's also not the sharpest tool in the shed, I would say. He's not exactly
I got you.
a genius. So, yeah, Brett's definitely up there.
You have to think, too, like, if somebody sat him down and said, Brett, this is illegal and this is wrong and you can get in trouble for this, would he have been like, oh, never mind? Or would he still gone along with it? Bill Cosby, he knew what he was doing was,
you can't even.
Before I give my answers, does the chat have any answers?
Hulk Hogan. Is,
from the dungeons
Hulk
at
Hogan?
Hulk Hogan.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan let Pete
Different
D-Rod
reasons.
down.
There was a couple of Hulk Hogan things, right?
Well, Hulk Hogan,
I was gonna say Hulk Hogan.
the Jesse
actually.
Ventura
Oh, you
thing. Yeah, is that your
I
choice?
was actually gonna say Hulk Hogan. I know it's surprising.
What do you
and
mean?
not
You just went to
surprising.
go meet him and paid
It's
money.
just- That's when Vin says
Over my right shoulder.
that,
don't get it. What?
he wishes that they rose to that and that
Gave
they
him hundreds
were
of dollars. Talking
I'm
about.
just saying, it's disappointing to know all the stories about the guy. Because as a kid, I absolutely loved.
Well,
Hulk
what
Hogan.
stories?
Could never, no one
How
could
many
ever
people
live up
he
to what they
stepped
built
on?
him
How
up
many
to.
people he fucked over? I mean,
The racist stuff?
This racist stuff. It's like there's just so many stories against Hulk Hogan. It's like almost he's
That
like
don't
the
work for me,
Jennifer
brother.
Lopez of fucking wrestling, where nobody has a good story about them. You know what I mean?
She's got
It's
a
like-
great ass, though.
Like that's the it's just
Sold his soul,
disappointing
too.
that like he was the guy, and he's behind closed doors he was not.
I got you.
Very much not.
Right.
I will say if Hulk Hogan's not the obvious choice, then
Shawn Michaels.
no, I will say Lance Armstrong
Oh, that's a good one.
was a really big
It's a very good
disappointing thing because I had a friend
That's
got to
be in
older than
people's
me, and
top-
he died of cancer. And I used to wear the Live Strong bracelet.
I think
and
he's
shit.
unfairly judged though because he did steroids. That was the big thing.
I don't
right?
mind it.
But he fucking didn't have testicles.
Well, you
How
also
the fuck is that not
How did
allowed?
not having
That,
testicles
explain
make
to
you
me.
ride
You
a
also
bike?
gotta
That's how you make testosterone.
But
If
you
you
also-
don't fucking have testicles.
yeah.
You need
How-
testosterone and you need.
But you also
how is
gotta
he-
you
how is
also
that
gotta
fair?
consider what else was everybody else doing?
Well, apparently a bunch of them were, and it wasn't
All of
like
them
just steroids. They were like fucking like I don't know. They had like
Like
bags of
replacing
blood
their
that they were
drugs.
replacing.
Yeah,
they were, like,
they
doing
were-
It was a
platelet
big
replacement
fall,
and
though.
shit.
It was unfortunate.
They were
He
injecting.
definitely
The
has-
Live Strong bracelets
He
were
definitely
huge.
was like he
I
was
know Live
everywhere.
It'd
He
be-
was huge, and now he's nowhere.
It'd be
So
like,
that's the point. That's a great choice. Even though I don't agree why they canceled him, I think it's
Yeah.
bullshit.
it's like Michael Phelps. If
Oh,
he got
well,
out
that-
for steroids.
I don't know if anyone ever really. Oh
Michael
wait, Michael
Phelps has
I'm sorry.
testicles, though.
I was thinking Michael Vick when you're saying that because he was his own.
Michael Phelps has 2 testicles.
Oh no! I'm just saying.
It's like
Oh.
if they found out.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
if he
they,
had
but
a
also-
scandal.
if they found out it was him and all those gold medals went down the toilet.
Gotcha.
Even successful athletes, though, Olympic athletes,
Tiger Woods.
once they're done with the Olympics, like they disappear.
Oh, sorry.
You know,
Michael
Kurt Angle
doing
talks
st-
about
Michael
it.
wasn't doing steroids.
You said Tiger Woods. Is that what you just said?
That's not my choice. I'm just throwing out
That's
names.
another good one. I mean, he had.
Yeah, but I don't care about golf, so that gives a shit. It's an activity, not a sport. Anyway,
It's just hard.
it's hard, but it's not a sport. Anyway, it's like fucking throwing darts or shooting pool. It's an activity,
Bowling, dude.
skill.
You got a problem with
Don't
bowling?
roll on Shabbos. It
Not
sucks.
renting up shoes. I'm
Yeah.
not taking your turn, dude.
Fucking hair falls out.
Fucking
Pomeranian
dog has
Order?
papers.
Before we get Joe, I'm just going to mention to the chat if you guys have any opinions on this. Who was somebody that you once idolized or saw as like a hero, and then something happened? They did something, probably from their own actions, that scandal, whatever. You just didn't love them as much anymore.
Kevin Spacey's another one.
Kevin Spacey's a good
That's
choice
up there.
because
Great
House
actor.
of Cards was incredible. Netflix was
Great
built.
actor, fucking terrible shit that he did.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
the
great
House
one.
of Cards was one of my favorite shows. That's a show I actually watched. It put Netflix on the map.
Yep.
And
I love that show. First 2 seasons of that show. Were
He was even great as Lex Luthor. Great.
Miss
I liked him. I liked him better than
didn't
Gene
like
great in
Hackman.
American Beauty. He's
Kaiser
a great actor.
Soze.
7. Kaiser Soze. He's a great actor. But yeah, that's really good one.
Hell said Tanya Harding. Well, was she? Who was the one that got beat?
Nancy Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan was beat because of
My
Tanya
mom
Harding,
was
right?
devastated.
Yeah, she
1996
fucking they like
Olympics.
beat her legs up and shit. You know about that?
Devastated.
You look confused, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Ooh, what are you
Harding?
fucking out?
It was I don't know what year it was. It was
Just told you, 96
the
Atlanta.
Olympics.
96
skaters?
Olympics. There was the girl Nancy Kerrigan, and there
one-
was
she
another
attacked.
Olympic. They were ice skaters, right?
oh, the one that cut the broke the
They
knee or
fucking like
something?
had
Smashed her
a
knee.
guy like fucking beat her legs so that she
Yeah,
couldn't win
yeah.
the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's fucking crazy.
So I'm gonna give you two people I idolized as a kid that were childhood heroes that are still childhood heroes to this day.
Mark McGuire.
That's a good one too.
I'm sorry,
Again,
but,
again, I don't discredit like what he did. What he did was fair play because the whole fucking league was doing that shit, and they didn't. They turned a blind eye to it to make money and draw ratings and bring baseball back
Baseball
after
was
the
never
strike.
bigger than that.
Baseball was dead after the strike in 1994, and that brought baseball back to the promised land. Fuck them. They used him, and they used Sammy Sosa for that, and Barry Bonds.
Sammy Sosa
Anyway.
looks
Barry
weird.
Bonds
He
was
looks
the one.
weird.
To what I was saying, two people who are still my heroes till this day, and yeah, they're not perfect people. They have their own things. Is Bret the Hitman Hart and Michael Jordan. There's two people who I would,
You
if
can't
I can
choose
have
them. They're not
Model-
disgraced.
I didn't.
No. He was saying.
No, I'm
they're
saying
not
two people who are
heroes.
still my heroes.
They never
Gotcha, I'm
broke.
sorry.
They
the
never
world.
fucking changed from my childhood till
Sure, sure.
as an adult. Like if I ever could, choose to have dinner with, celebrities or famous people, Bret Hart and Michael Jordan, it's always going to be my answer. Arnold would be a third on that. And Arnold is definitely no fucking saint. This is the bullshit that
when I was younger,
It's trying to dash it down the bronze.
too
Anyway,
much fun.
the
Coming all
person,
time.
my choice is it's a no-brainer. It's an easy one. It's Michael Jackson.
Right.
I grew up in the era where Michael Jackson was, like you said,
God.
the Beatles, Elvis. He was just to me, he was just like everywhere. He was on Pepsi. He was just so like advertised. I had his doll. I watched all his tapes. I bought his glove. I dressed like him for Halloween.
That
like, I constantly watched Thriller during Halloween.
Michael Jackson
In the 80s?
Joe.
Then you're
Michael
underestimating. You were
80s.
born.
I mean,
you were
Michael
clearly
Jackson
born in a
was
different
like-
era.
We weren't alive in that.
Michael
time.
Jackson
saying, I
was
can't imagine
Michael
Joe with a
Jackson
Michael
had
Jackson
entered
glove.
the weird realm when Chris was born.
It's true. No, that is
He
true
was
because he was
God.
always kind of a little weird.
We're
when-
talking Thriller, Beat It. I'm talking prime
It was-
MJ here.
It was.
We had the Free
1985.
Willy.
Everyone tried to
86.
moonwalk. Everyone tried to moonwalk.
Everybody, I used to go into like school
Socks.
plays and dance.
His music still slaps too. It's
His
still,
music is
it's
still
crazy.
great. He's
It's
still the
fucked
greatest
up.
musician of all time, greatest dancer of all time, hands down. It doesn't take away from the fact that there are all these allegations, and we'll never know. We'll never have a guaranteed evidence. It's black and white in your face. Doesn't matter if they're
Doesn't
black or white.
matter.
You know.
I just saw the.
Listen,
He was the Super Bowl halftime show
one
in
of the
like
best.
'96 or '5,
One of the best.
and he fucking popped out over
Just
the scoreboard
amazing.
and then came up in the 50.
Yeah, one of the best.
Crazy. Man.
Listen.
The whole fucking audience was just.
That was his hair set on fire. Pepsi
No, that was a
halftime show?
Pepsi commercial.
It was a commercial.
I did a Pepsi commercial. Hair on fire.
Oh, he must have sued the fuck.
Tito,
out of
get me some water. Anyway,
So the thing with Michael, he just I don't know,
Jermaine,
it's just
stop. Listen,
struck
still
me
to this
as-
day, there's people who idolize him, like Chris Tucker, Usher, like all these people,
Chris
Justin
Tucker's got some
Timberlake.
weird-
Another one who can be like Justin
Also,
Timberlake.
somebody with a
on the
very
list.
traumatic childhood.
Like,
That it's
yeah.
like, what else was going to
Sure.
happen to it?
But the
you know?
stuff that they said about Michael Jackson, the stuff that they have accused him of doing, it just puts a huge stain on. Because for years, probably since the whole time I had my car, on the day he passed away, which was June of 2015, I made like a top, one list of Michael Jackson songs, and there was like 15 or 25 of them, and I just would never take that CD out of my car, never.
Oh, I got a good one.
Until like the allegations went on and you saw the Leaving Neverland documentary, I took that CD out of my car and I removed him from my Apple Music library. Doesn't mean that I still don't enjoy his music. Doesn't mean that I still don't feel like some of his music is the best ever created. Some of his dance performances are some of the best ever created. That doesn't take away the fact that he's probably the most talented, gifted performer in the history of the world.
So what I'll say
Period.
with that documentary is two things. Was very disturbing. I do remember watching that, and like there were times where it was like, I want to turn the shit.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
even want to watch
Yeah.
it. I was forced to watch
Yeah.
it. But the other thing about that was the main person accusing him in that documentary was somebody that the whole time he was alive didn't speak against him, defended him, and then only after he was dead, this thing came out. And I remember watching that and thinking, well, it's kind of not fair because he can't defend himself now when this is coming out. I do remember thinking that, but it was also really fucked up, and that's the thing. If true, it's tough, but
So
there's still room to have some
but
reasonable
that's the
doubt.
most difficult part is the unknown now.
Yeah.
Because now we're left with this, like, who killed JFK? We don't know. Was Michael Jackson really a pederast dude?
Right.
We don't know.
You don't know.
Like, it's just like, I just want to go back to the feeling I had of just enjoying his music and not having the knowledge of the stuff that we have knowledge of.
Ignorance is bliss.
The thing that bothered me the most about that documentary, and it could be all
I
bullshit.
can tell you what bothered me the most.
Well,
but
let me
I
get
wanna
mine
hear
out.
it.
Like the thing that it could be all bullshit. People try to, like you said, knock people off their pedestal when they're that up high and you're rich and you want some of their money and blah blah blah, and
Fame.
they didn't give you enough, so now you're jealous, you're pissed at them, blah blah blah. This is the only way you could kind of make money or make yourself. I get it. Like that's dangerous. That's dangerous ground, especially when you're that high up in the world and you're that well known. Like he was probably the most famous person on earth for a good 10 to 15 years in the 80s and maybe early 90s.
Yeah.
The thing that bothered me is the stories of the kids or the guys or the men or whatever.
Yeah, it
Like
was-
they were all similar and they didn't know each other. So there was a pattern of like the grooming and the bringing them on board and making them feel like the parents are welcome and everyone is like, and then he would just do like
They get aged
malicious
out.
shit and just disgusting fucking shit. Like, again, like, I don't know if he did that. He might have not. It might be all bullshit. But the fact that it's out there and it stains my vision of Michael Jackson, my perception of Michael Jackson ruins it for me.
Well, it really ties back to the other conversation about like heroes and idols in the curtain, because
Sure.
you can see where that stuff actually.
Can you imagine Michael Jackson on social media dangling his baby off the balcony like today?
It'd be on World Star now.
Blanket, get back inside.
Yeah, that documentary was
turned
hard
out
to listen
normal.
to. You know what's also fucked
Those
up
aren't his
about
kids.
those people that
He's
end
black.
up being really
He's
fucked
just
up.
hanging the blankets out to
Kids
dry.
are white. Black is the dominant gene. If you're a black
white.
person and you have a mixed kid,
white,
they're not
right.
going to look all white
They
like
look
that.
British.
No.
They look like they're
Those
from
are not his
London.
kids. Fuck off.
I mean, who knows? It's fucking
No, it's not who
conspiracies.
knows. It's fucking genetics.
What's
and
really
science.
fucked up is when not only did they make victims, but then they make their victims, like when these kids would get aged out, he would then use them to bring more victims in, and he almost makes them complicit.
up.
And that's something, a lot of these guys, like even
Then
that
again, like
Epstein
Macaulay
shit,
Culkin covers for him. Corey Feldman
a lot of
covers
people
for
covered
him.
for him. Yeah, that's
surprising.
there's
Corey
still
Feldman's
doubt
buried
with him. There's
fucking
certain
many.
guys there's no doubt, but with
Corey
Michael
Feldman's,
there's
like,
a degree.
buried many.
He's like
people.
a giant Michael Jackson fanatic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's just tries to dress like him, look like him, sound like him, talk.
He's
like
also a
him, move
fucking
like
mess though. So
He is, but
He's a fuck. Michael
Just saying.
Jackson also bought the Beatles.
yeah.
Oh, he owns the rights
So
to the
behind
Beatles.
Paul
From the
McCartney's
dungeon
back.
said that he said when Michael Jackson went behind Paul McCartney's back and bought the Beatles, that was fucked up.
Oh, this one's funny.
Flyboy,
Hey,
Let's see it,
read
you
the
wanna-
other one. Oh, that's a good one. From the
Flyboy.
dungeon. Yeah, Michael Jordan as a person is a dick.
Oh yeah.
Not-
Still
he's
mentioned
not
that
wrong. He's not wrong.
the Tanya
Stop
thing
it.
was made into a
Get some
movie.
help.
Flyboy said, "I don't care about excuses. Sleeping in the same bed with a child as a grown-ass man is fucking weird."
Nah,
It's true.
There's no
Yeah.
excuse. If that's not your
It's true.
child, there's
Yeah,
no,
it's
you have
very
no
true.
bed.
Even if it is your
Don't-
child, it's still a little weird. Like if you're 7 or 8.
If a little, if
weird.
well, I mean, if a kid crawls in your bed like
3,
into your
4 years
child,
old,
is that a
fine.
nightmare?
Yeah, but it's just like
It's just
Yeah.
he was like, and I'm using the word retarded in the
he
traditional.
had Peter
sense.
Pan
was
syndrome. He
ment-
never had a childhood.
That's what they would call it.
He
Right?
mentally never grew up.
Right.
Um,
He built himself Disneyland.
He tried to live vicariously through these kids by building a giant amusement park with lions and bears and
And he was
tigers.
consistent
oh my,
with that.
and,
that was always
and all these like.
That was always the thing.
Listen, so you don't know if he was just like, he just wanted to feel like a child again. Like it's a mental
He was
health
also
issue.
extremely famous
I
his
think he was
entire
very
life.
odd,
Like,
But then
And I
he
don't-
also, they said that he licked their buttholes. So there's a, there's
Yeah, the
that.
shit that they said was really hard to listen to, man. I don't even want to. I don't even want to repeat
don't need
it.
to
Tossed a salad of a 3-year-old
I
dude.
didn't
I
watch
don't need the
that shit.
visual.
Not even 8-year-olds, dude. Like it's just fucked up, man.
Anyway.
Flyboy also said Woody Allen is another example. I mean, he's,
Yeah, he's
he's
another
like one of the
martyr.
He's like
classic
he's
tales.
completely off the map.
You
man.
raise because he
He
adopted,
adopted
a little girl.
raised her, and then married her. Yeah, fucking weirdo.
Fuck.
Not that I don't think anyone would idolize Woody Allen, but I get it. He's another like
Well, he was a great filmmaker. I mean, he was
Sure.
respected at least for
Weird.
the stuff that he
He's not
created.
an icon.
not like it's not Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson type Brett Favre. You know what I mean? No.
Tyson's another one. Obviously, he
You know,
has
I'm
his
proud of
conviction.
Tyson though because he's done a lot of growth. Personally,
Yeah.
I think he's a better person now.
Does that
I think he
abstain
found a
him
lot of
from
healing.
doing what he did to women in the 80s and 90s?
No, but a lot of those people live the rest of their lives without remorse, and at least he's done better things with his
I don't know
life
about that.
later.
I don't know if he's remorseful about it though. But, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to. I wouldn't bring
Mike
it up.
Tyson was fucked
him.
up at a very early age. Like he would rob people, steal people's money. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
would
He
stab
would, he would
people.
almost. He was like
This is
close
before he even put on
to not-
boxing gloves.
Well, it was before. Then he got saved by
Gus D'Amato.
Cuss, and then
Customato.
he almost went back to it, and then
Sure.
he did a little bit of it, and then
Yeah.
he was like, "Nah," and he ran back to
Sure.
You know,
I'm curious. Like they never released that movie. Like there was always rumors that Jamie Foxx was playing him,
Yeah.
and it was going to be a bioepic movie of his life and
He's
story.
probably like he's not.
I know that who's the guy who played Spawn? Michael J. White. He did a Tyson movie,
it
but
was
in
a
the
show,
90s.
wasn't it?
No, it was a movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
was it in the 90s?
yeah.
Oh shit.
I think it's called Tyson.
Oh yeah, actually, I did see that. I did
Oh,
remember that
oh. Flyboy actually has another good one. He said, "For me, being born in 1995 and what happened with Drake Bell was a shock." I don't know if you guys saw that Nickelodeon documentary everyone was talking about
I
last year.
did see that. Yes,
You saw that,
I
right?
did see
shit.
that.
Oh,
Did you guys see
the
that?
Nickelodeon. I didn't watch it. No,
I didn't-
I hate
yeah.
watching that shit. I don't watch that
I
shit.
watched that, and I also watched the pop music
shit
one on
gets me-
Netflix about NSYNC
Shit
and
makes me
Backstreet Boys.
uncomfortable.
The guy who got that start on them with them.
Oh, the big dude. I forgot. I don't remember
Fucked
his
up
name.
shit too. We're watching the Menendez brothers documentary now on Netflix, and that's fucking just fucked up.
Are we gonna watch the
Crazy
Penguin
shit.
actually?
I did
I
watch
watched
the
the
Penguin.
first
Watched the first 2
episode.
episodes.
And not that she's an idol or anything, but it's a sin what ended up happening to Amanda Bynes. She was
Sonny,
really- she
look
was
at
really
Sonny.
pretty, and Sonny made some
Sorry,
real
not to
bad
change it,
choices.
but I thought that's what you were going to
She
say.
was a
Sonny.
hooah.
Sonny made, but Sonny's in prison now. She
Yeah.
killed somebody
That's
drunk
what I'm
driving,
saying,
an old
you know,
man,
it's-
Drug addicts.
apparently, allegedly.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
Fallen heroes.
that's where it's like you really, now that I'm older, I'm glad that
Thank
I can see
God.
through this shit. I fucking saw it coming with Elon a fucking
I
mile
was gonna
away.
say Kanye West was another.
What's
one on the
Kanye is
list.
another
What's the thing
one.
with Elon?
He's just a fucking asshole. He's a cult of personality that people praise him like he's the second coming of Christ and like he's
Yeah,
the
it's just funny
smartest
because
man
of
in the world.
apartheid.
But
you
you
know?
can't throw him in the same.
He
sentence.
bought Twitter and fucking destroyed it and
so-
renamed it X.
No, no,
what
no,
are you
no,
talking
hold on,
about?
hold on.
You're
First of all-
saying this guy's an
first of all-
asshole. He's a prick. He's a rich. That's not putting him in the same
Hold on.
fucking
doesn't
sphere
have a
as a
scandal.
rapist or a fucking murderer.
I wasn't doing that.
Come on, man.
I
Get
was
outta
just
here.
saying,
Get
you could
outta
see
here.
through it.
No, I like the guy. Sorry.
Well, you like
well,
him.
he
'cause you-
first of all,
Yeah, I know.
the thing on the plane with the fucking masseuse chick there. He paid
Who?
her off. He's got a few people that got paid to,
Okay.
to keep things quiet.
Rub and
about-
tug?
Yeah, you know. So, and also disowning his kid's not cool. I don't care what the situation.
Or if the
is.
kid's a piece of shit, no good motherfucker like Shawn Michaels.
Well, then it's his
Kids,
fault
you know.
because it's his kid.
kids.
it's a kid.
So I think that's I don't know. He's not. He
destroyed
He's
Twitter.
another one in terms of
Now it's fucking
They've
the
built
Rotten
You're
Dot
talking
com.
again. We're going back to the same topic. It's a fucking billionaire that can fucking do what he wants.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So he's only going to tell you
theme
what
here,
you
dude.
want to hear.
There's a theme
Like
here.
there's
dude.
a theme here, man. Like
Right.
this is a trend.
He
like
was a savior. He was like, I'm bringing electric cars. We're going to space and we're going to go to Mars.
People
like,
were
gonna do
looking
this.
at him
And then
like
it was
he's
like,
and then they
cool.
went to Uranus,
But
and
then,
it's like,
but
nah,
then,
fuck this guy. Yeah, I got
Then
it.
the thing is, you found out too much about him. You know too much of what he's
You
thinking.
could just listen to
I don't
him
wanna
talk for 10
think-
minutes. He's weird.
I don't want to know.
He has some
It reveals.
I
to
think
me,
he has slight autism
He's
as
definitely
well.
autistic. These people are socially
He's definitely
autistic. They have
Socially
social.
weird.
They have social autism. They don't care about people. They don't have empathy. They don't speak.
sociopaths,
That's why
dude.
they don't
It's a
speak to people
sociopath.
normally.
Yeah.
And they're so like in their head. Like, yes. I feel like they're like robotic in a sense. They don't care about you. They're not having like a good conversation. Not capable of that.
Yeah,
They're
there's-
just
All I
very
know is there was a
smart.
time where I
And
could
that's why
fucking
they
tweet
can't
at
rule the
JR.
world. They
The lights
cannot
are
rule-
on, but nobody's home.
They cannot rule the fucking
There
world.
was a
This
time
cannot
where
be
I
an
could tweet
oligarchy.
at a celebrity and you can get a like or a reply or something.
off
You
the
didn't have to
fucking
fucking
rails. We're way
pay
off the
for a
rails.
check mark to be seen by anybody that was
That's just
actually a
mass
fucking real
manipulation.
profile.
That's just mass
If you
manipulation.
go on X nowadays and you tweet something, it gets no likes, no views, nobody fucking sees it. You're tweeting into a void, except you got one like, and you look at who liked it, and it's a fucking robot of a
Tits.
sexy young woman that created a
It's a
profile
Russian
yesterday and
bot
wants
that
to
wants to
follow
track
me
you.
and steal my fucking information and identity.
Yes.
That
It's gonna
motherfucker
track you.
destroyed a perfectly good system, bought it with his
What?
own vanity, and fucked it
I
up.
will
And I
say
said
yes.
it in my grinds my gears, but it's like kind of fucked up how like you just open Twitter and there's just visceral death videos.
Oh my God! Yeah, you open it up, it's
Constantly.
just fights. It's somebody not just a
It's-
fight.
and
It's somebody being knocked unconscious and
It's like
being
people
still
smashing
being
faces
punched in
into
the face.
concrete multiple times.
It's like
psychological and emotional incitement. It's
I think-
to
I
show
think-
and tell people that there should be fear.
fear,
There's, like, shit
angry.
You should be angry and fearful of this, and this is how the world really is. And it's like, okay, like I get it, the world is violent, but I don't need to fucking constantly be like.
So
exposed to
while
it.
we're on that topic, I think it's
But-
like apropos that he would name it X because there's two portions of X, and the audience can't see it, but if you have the app, you can understand what I'm talking about. Like there's For You section,
Right.
and then there's following. So if I go to following, it's only stuff I follow. So like all that's on here really is video games, pro wrestling, sneakers, stuff, sports,
curated, it's usually
you
top
know,
3, 4
football,
things.
things I
Jets.
like. But as
It's
soon
still
as
not as good though.
hold on, but as soon as I flip to the For You,
Yeah.
It's just tits and ass and
it's political stuff. It's fucking, I mean, look, It's just like
So
constantly like ass, tits, pussy.
It's what they
like, oh,
want
look,
you
hey,
to
we
think.
found
Like
you. You looked at
This
Dreamer,
is
it's
for
like-
you. This
Yeah.
is who you are as a
We-
person.
We've basically we've
Yeah,
deleted-
there's a little bit of wrestling in here, but it's just like porn. Like this is like he should just call
Porn,
it XXX.
politics, and
like it's
fucking
porn, politics, and just
popcorn.
like.
So
you
here's
know,
the thing: why would you change something when it's become what is it like when the things become a verb or whatever? When you say Google, like,
Tweeting.
hey, you Google it.
You tweet me.
You tweet. How do
You
You
X
fucked
me.
up a good thing that was
I don't
perfectly
post-
fine.
It's not post. Oh, I posted. Where'd you post it? Oh, I posted to X. No, I tweeted. Where did you tweet? Twitter. It's implied. It's already there. Why would you change it except for your own giant fucking ego?
How can you call it free speech if you're paying $8 a month? You stupid fuck! That's the end of the discussion right there. It's not free if you're paying for it.
Well, I will say that even though that he did say like it's more free speech, prior to him owning X, it was very much gated towards like the left in terms of political agenda.
It was a little. There was definitely
no,
like
not
that
a little,
cancel
a lot.
culture.
Not a little, a lot.
It was only as
All
much
of-
as you
all
allowed
of
it to exist.
No.
There was it was definitely the pendulum was very
they
foreign.
would
I'm
throttle-
agreeing with you.
All right,
It
they would
was-
throttle posts. They would throttle certain things that you
They
would put up.
are amplifying things though now
They-
that have no
way worse.
I'm saying like the
than it ever
algorithm
was.
that they've currently programmed right now has swung so far to the other side. If what you know,
He took it
I
over,
hear what
and
you're
I
saying.
listened even to Vin. I'm going to
But-
call him out now. They said an impartial guy taking over Twitter.
I could literally bring up the most
No
recent,
lack of partiality
he was-
whatsoever.
He was considered, but
I
in
saw
public,
the signs.
not in private. There's now a report about whatever. I'm not going to go into this. That's not what we talk about. But anyway, he does have a cult of personality. He did fuck up the platform. I would say I agree. Like, yeah, there needs to be room. I remember when the internet was a little more free form and there was a little less curating, where it
Kind
was
of feels that way, where it's more like LimeWire or like Napster, where you can just go in there and
it's
fucking
something.
download porn and movies
It
and
would have
music,
been
and it's
fine
just
to me
like a free for all.
if it, free for all is right. It would have been fine had it grown. Those things don't grow to a certain point. But he took something that had grown to a point. You buy Google and then you just change Google instead of it giving you decent results in the way that you're expecting. You now, because it's also trusted. You used to trust in a sense, like, oh, well, what I'm reading here is casual or whatever. There's a certain, I don't want to say like truth to it, but you're like, okay, yeah. You weren't taking it so seriously, but it had at least a trust factor behind it where you're like, all right, this isn't a complete and total, utter fucking disgusting lie.
Now everything's hyperbole.
Yes. Now
It's
everything, it's
propaganda.
like, how far can we push it to where it's hard to perceive what's real and not without at least some kind of guardrail to say, hey, like, we don't want to.
That's dangerous, because if you're in the mindset where you're not a common sense person, or you're just flat out fucking dumb,
Right.
you're going to perceive whatever they're showing you on there as fact, as real.
And you talked about before people being able to gain these followings and have this influence
Right.
over people that's like
Right.
undeservedly so.
Right.
These idiots, you know what I mean? Like it's
Tits.
as if we.
You have no talent, you have tits.
Well, not even women. I'm saying like it's as if
I'm
we
talking about
had
that.
some
I don't give a fuck.
unwieldy. No, I'm just saying some.
the male
If
version.
we had some unwieldy influence over an audience behind this camera, and we used it in a way
wish
to
we did.
start make them.
Right.
I don't
to
want to
make
work
them-
my fucking job
this
anymore.
is a
To make- to
psyop, all
present-
designed to get from the dungeon to kill
Right.
somebody. I don't know.
They're insightful. It's just like now it's just a disgusting kind of place where you're like
They're
I
using
don't-
their
I
following
go on
as
there
a
for
mob.
fucking Green Bay Packers shit. I didn't go on there to find out if I should get vaccinated or not. You know what I'm saying?
Right, that's
So-
what I have on my. If you look at my follow list, it's
So-
all wrestlers and.
I grew up.
you know.
I grew up in the era where you don't. My parents, ironically enough, said, "You can't believe everything you read on the internet." I couldn't print things from the internet and bring it to school in
my
a book
parents
report.
would tell me you
I
can't
couldn't-
believe everything you read in the newspaper.
Right. So, I come from that. And now suddenly, though, the parents are the ones who believe everything on the fucking internet, which is the biggest irony. I'm like, would you
Yeah,
read that
they
the
somehow
internet?
lost their common
I
sense.
read it on the Facebook.
I have that filter. I'm worried for 12-year-olds who are getting on Twitter.
8-year-olds, dude.
People who are very easy to influence, and
Sure.
they're exposed in a way that's
Yeah.
like, I had 28-bit fucking modem AOL. I couldn't
Yep.
consume this video, like constant repetition shit. It was slow and it was kind of like, ha, tits. Like, that's as far as we went. Now, you could be looking at hardcore triple X shit in less than a second.
Change the name to Triple X. That's what it is.
You're
Smut
not
TV.
You're not even taking the blue check thing. If you took the blue check thing, said you want to pay for this so we could create a barrier to say this is an authenticated person, why are they not uploading their ID? Why are you not verifying your fucking identity to that blue check?
Also,
say,
the blue check meant
it just says
like,
it just means you
this
paid
is
$8.
actually Hulk Hogan.
Right.
I'm actually tweeting Hulk Hogan here.
And he responded.
That's
He
the
liked
joke,
my
is that he
thing.
took the
That's
check
what
marks away
that's
from
what
anybody
Twitter
that's
was.
not
You
paying.
just nailed it.
Yeah.
When you said something and the
Celebrities,
celebrity would
yes,
like it,
yes.
you
If
had
that was the
direct
celebrity.
connection.
You knew exactly
Oh.
that was authenticated, and that was like Hulk Hogan. That was whoever
That was the potential
Yes.
of Twitter.
Right.
It was the I could tweet at Brett
That's why.
Favre
That's why you
and
made a Twitter account is to
Right.
connect to celebrities.
And
I was very
and
late to
he's-
Twitter. I got
and-
Twitter in
and-
like 2017.
and
I wanna text The Rock and see if he replies.
Musk has metaphorically raped that whole idea of what Twitter was.
Yeah, it's not that anymore.
He raped that.
Not
It's
celebrities
a
really aren't on the
completely
platform. that much.
broken
and now there's
thing
no
now.
other place for it.
And it's fucking 80% down in revenue, so it's a fucking bad business
Yeah,
to begin with.
yeah, no, it's become
about mind manipulation.
become porn, become just propaganda for
Keep
political.
people stupid is what it actually has become. Keep
Oh,
them dumb and entertained and
yes,
scrolling,
yes.
so we can be
A zombie.
taking care of the rest of the
it's a
world
zombies.
because you can just be pacified in your fucking stupidity.
Fucking zombies, man.
And
And
my
breeding
thing
a whole
too,
culture of
I don't
fucking
just
dumb
judge
little kids.
people by themselves, by their own character or fucking shit character. I also judge people by how other people react to them, right?
How are you a Shawn Michaels fan then?
I'm just saying I don't like the way that people would
He's changed-
respond
he did
to
change-
Elon
I
like
what Shawn Michaels said in the
I know.
to back Shawn Michaels. I like what he said. You heard what he said in the
I don't know what you're talking about.
Said I was
in
a
the
piece-
documentary.
I was a
Shawn
piece-
Michaels.
I was a piece of shit.
He said
I was a bit of a jerk.
I was bad. Now having a daughter, you know what I mean?
He
Like,
said that on the record like fucking 100 times over already. I think he's already acknowledged that. But
What was that character in GTA 5? The guy who was in like the
Nico.
backwoods? No, that's
Oh,
4,
sorry.
not 5. Character in 5.
that did
Trevor.
what?
Shawn
Trevor?
Michaels looks like Trevor right now.
He's aging,
And his eyeballs going.
Fucking everyone's laughing at him for going bald. It's like Hulk Hogan was bald since he was like fucking 30 and on top. He still has that fucking
Yeah, but you
ridiculous
always
haircut.
have an image of Hulk Hogan being bald. Shawn Michaels' image was he had a huge mullet and beautiful hair.
Yeah, hey, better to have been handsome and had youth and to be ugly now than to just always have been ugly.
No, Hulk Hogan
Yeah,
looks the
it's-
same though. He looks, other than wrinkles and
Yeah,
leather skin,
Yeah, the fucking
It
hair.
looks like
I don't know if the hair is
remember
even
fucking
real. part of the
SpongeBob?
bandana.
Remember the
It's
seal,
extensions.
the seal with the tan from SpongeBob?
Yeah,
That's Hulk
the
Hogan
long
now.
blonde hair. It's extensions. He doesn't have hair like that anymore.
Well, this has been a hot episode of the Break Room podcast.
Oh, wow,
This is,
it's midnight.
Been a lot of fun. I mean, we got a 2-hour and 20-minute show. It's crazy.
It might even be longer than that.
I gotta go.
All right, guys. If you guys enjoyed the show, thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends. Tell your family. This has been the Break Room Podcast. Snoochie Boochies, and may the Force be with you.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, Joe!
Oh, it's time to slow down.
Kicking table and the computer just shook. That is, no one was mad that you cut the whole You can go anywhere.
Do I do with that?
And the Macho Madness and the Hulkamania.
On top of that, you're the best wrestler of all time. So I absolutely adore you.
For being the cream of the crop, yeah.
Let's go!
Fucking idiot, you have no idea what you're fucking talking about. God. They were saying Sony apparently said that the PlayStation 5. You fucking suckers! Is that the end of it?
Pour every pixel of the game engine into the face.
Can't say
That Dallas.
What did you know when that's like part of my Christmas